Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yes, and Happy New Year! Episode 55, first episode of the brand new year. Happy 2020 to you all. Hope it's going well. And if you hear that little chirping in the background, it's because we're actually starting the year off right. We got us a guest on the show today. So, you may know him from YouTube as BladeBlur, and he's a guy I've been following for like a really long time. I think at least since 2013, 2012-ish. And that time's just friggin' flown by. So, he's our buddy BladeBlur, or Daniel, whatever you want to call him. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm actually humbled that you say it's been 2013 because I officially started doing YouTube like in a consistent manner since 2012. So you've been on the bandwagon from the very beginning. So I'm very humbled, obviously. And I gotta say, you two are some of the nicest people I've had the fortune of meeting on YouTube. So it's awesome to be on the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, man. No, we've been talking back and forth, and as I've said many times on this, Jim's the guy who talks on Twitter. But we met Daniel at Too Many Games last year, finally face-to-face, and it was just a blast getting to meet him and hang out with him throughout the day.
We're actually real people.
Yeah, exactly. We're not just like, internet friends. We like meeting up with our people that we like. So we were lucky enough to meet up with them and definitely hoping to maybe do that again.
Maybe.
We were just talking about that before we started, and the big thing is, can Jim last and not pass out as he tries to find a spot to pee? I don't know.
As long as I don't get blackout drunk this time. Maybe I'll drink a few waters in between this year. Maybe I've learned my lesson. Or probably
I'm
not.
going to try to refrain talking about water fountains or people like,
No, keep talking about that. Push me towards that. I'll drink out of the damn fountain.
Okay, so there's a water fountain literally outside my place. 5 minutes of... No.
Oh, there you go. Perfect way to sober up. Actually, speaking of drinking, are you drinking anything right now tonight?
I'm actually being very daring today, more than usually. So what I did get today is a bottle of mineral water. It's a refreshable, purified drinking water. I know it's extreme. Usually I drink from the tap.
You're going hard as shit, man.
I decided to use plastic to contain my fluids this time. That sounds totally wrong, and I apologize for that.
You've got the minerals in there, so you've got the hard stuff going.
Exactly.
And we tonight are drinking from the Ellicottville Brewing Company, the Ellicottville IPA. It's an Indian Pale Ale at 6% alcohol by volume, busting with hot flavor.
Thank you, Jim.
Or bursting.
It's bursting.
Can't
you
read.
already can't read. God
Whoops.
damn it. This is how we're starting. You can't even read.
Happy 2020.
So
But yeah, there's no special thing for me to read. No bit, Brian.
Yeah. So,
Although I do have to give a shout out to my wife because she got me a Beer of the Month Club thing for 3 months. So every month I'm getting 12 different beers. So I will be able to supply the show with some tasty new things.
It's about time. So, all right, Jim. I know you had some things lined up. What'd you want to talk about?
All right, so talking with Blade about his channel. So I think the way I found you back in the day, I don't know if I was just looking through random Sonic videos or stuff like that, but like there's like we talked to G to the Next Level before, who's another big Sonic fan, and I followed like Geek Critique on there, who's gone into these long form video essays about Sonic. But you're kind of like the first one who just like was teetering on that level with doing all of your long form reviews of the entire series. And like with a lot of people, I saw a huge wall of Sega games behind it, so I was like, oh, I'm going to watch more of this guy's stuff.
Yeah, that's basically what I was kind of going. I think I was originally inspired by, I want to say Some Call Me Johnny in terms of like the whole Sonic videos. That's kind of what like drove me to do it. Because back at the day when I was starting my Sonic videos, he didn't actually review every single Sonic game. Though now, unfortunately, he beats me by a mile because he does all the handheld stuff, and I wanted to say that I am one of the only people who actually talks about the handheld Sonic games, but even though that's really not the case anymore, I do still think that in terms of my perspective, I'm unique enough that people may want to listen to what I have to say. And I try, whenever I review something, I try to get as much research done. For example, when I was doing my Bubsy review a couple years back, I played every single of that game, every version of that game multiple times to make sure I like scrounge every bit of information I can from it. And it was a nightmare for the record, but no one can say I'm not thorough. And, you know, I don't want to be like the guy that says, Bubsy is a crappy platformer at the end. I actually want to go beyond actually explaining why the game could have been better than what we actually got.
So that's one of the questions I had. I mean, obviously, we've talked with you and seeing your videos. When you decided, okay, let me go ahead, let me make a YouTube channel, let me get into this, was it because you would watch other people and say, hey, they're missing like X, Y, and Z, and I think I could cover this a little better? Or what was it that just really put you over the edge and just said, like, I want to put my spin on this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I know a lot of people say they were inspired by, obviously, AVGN and, you know, enter your creator here sort of thing.
Yeah.
For me, I mean... obviously, for one, I love video games. I like sharing my passion about video games. It's just something that I always wanted to do. But in terms of myself, despite my somewhat joking personality, I'm actually a very introverted guy. I usually don't talk to a lot of people. And honestly, doing the channel kind of helped me open up to other people and other opinions and kind of throwing myself out there without any water wings. I mean, yeah, I have to kind of swim up, you know, to catch some air, but I think it was really helpful to me as an individual to actually start making videos and get to meet awesome people, and such as you guys, of course. And it's probably more of a schmaltzy answer to that, but like, it's very cathartic to me to make videos. It's a lot of hard work sometimes, because I'm one of those people that if I see like one frame wrong, I want to fix it to make sure that whatever I release is like 100% perfect. Or even worse, when I watch other creators make videos and they do things with like so many amazing like graphical effects, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna be good in comparison. Because that's
us
the
too.
worst. It's hard because you see other people, and there are a lot of phenomenal creators on YouTube or any other platform, and I'm looking at them like, well, I can't compete with that. Well, that's great, but it's nice that you have, like, you know, a crowd of people who support you. And honestly, the main reason why I do want to keep doing it is obviously because of the people that have been following me all this time, and maybe some new followers that might come down the line.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that's schmoozy at all. I think that's a really good answer, because I think more people nowadays are doing these kind of things because it's like, oh, it's a way to maybe make more bucks or do this. I think it's way more authentic when you have people like you who come through and you're genuinely enthusiastic and passionate about the game. Like, we don't need to name names, but we've seen enough people who become reviewers, probably get sponsored, do this, do that, and then all of a sudden their reviews are just kind of like, they're just going with the flow. They're doing the same old hat. And it kind of sucks when you see that and you see just an influx of folks that are like, I'm going to be the, you know, 2,000th person that has a reaction to this video. Like, everyone has their own shtick. But I do like when, and I think in our group of friends, that there's a little bit way more authentic. Like, none of us are exactly the same on how we feel about games, but we all obviously grew up loving them, still play them today, and I think it shows. So I think, you know, you're definitely doing a great job. And it reminded me, for anyone who wants to follow BladeBlur, make sure check all the links below. And obviously, Daniel, if you want to call out any other links, just feel free, shout them out now. But I mean, we have his Twitter, his YouTube, his website, everything else. You know, just
we'll do it all again
like
at the end of the show too.
Thing that I can think about, but that's kind of it. Like, usually I'm mostly like YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch are like my main three, I would say. Mostly Twitter and YouTube, I would say, one of my main ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say we dabble in Twitch once in a blue moon, and I remember for a while there, I was like, oh, that's something I'm gonna do, and I was just like, I do not have the time and the energy or the showmanship, if you will. To
well, then you had
like,
a kid too.
I never you know, did much of like Instagram because I don't know how to make stories or anything like that, and how people make stamps, and now there's like TikTok. God, I feel old by the second, you know, when they come up
TikTok's
with
a young man's game. We're out with that.
I don't know what that is. To me, TikTok is something that a clock does, not an app.
Yeah, it's past our. We just, that's one of those apps. You know, it's better for us just to accept. We ain't gonna get into it. Nah.
Exactly, but I do want to bring up the same point you brought up earlier, that it's kind of unfortunate that there's a lot of people out there that do the YouTube stuff for money, especially now when I would say it's much harder to be quote unquote rich from YouTube now than it's ever was, and not even just because
God,
of the competition. Like, that's obvious, but also with the whole, like, copyright issues, and you have to make your content, suitable for younger kids, the whole COPPA thing, which I don't want to, like, delve into, because I don't understand a lot of that stuff, so I don't want to talk as someone who is not, very adept in the subject, but...
Oh, we do that all the time.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't want to say, like, I know everything about this, and then get everything wrong, and then people call me out, so I'm just going to kick my...
Damn you for being responsible.
For having some semblance of integrity left.
Yeah, that's why we need to get you drinking more beer.
Yeah, you need to spout the bullshit off so we can make some controversy, so we can get some views and get some cash out of this shit. Well, for us, because we'll be hosting it.
I'm kidding. Wind Waker is not terrible. I'm just joking.
But yeah, I mean, everything you're saying is correct though. And then you see too many people who think that, oh, I see so-and-so doing this. I could do this. It's easy. And then after a couple months, they're realizing, oh, I still only have 50 subscribers. And what the hell? We've all been there. When you're starting, and we're still, by all means, starting. Yeah. It's like the crawl is slow. And being unique is something that, if you try too hard at it, it's very transparent and it will come off as very fake. So it's kind of like just do what you got to do, but only do it if you're actually enjoying it. Like if you're doing it to just get views, you're never going to enjoy yourself and you're going to quit a year later.
Not to mention that nowadays with the algorithm issues, the algorithm changes more than opinions of Star Wars fans. That's how bad it is.
Oh yeah, and they don't tell you anything either.
As opposed to Star Wars fans, they will actually tell you everything, and you want to push it up.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's a whole fandom that has been ruined. I mean, you know all about that, Sonic Boy.
If I hear one more time that Sonic Unleashes the best Sonic game of all time, both my veins are gonna pop, and there's gonna be a cascading rainbow of blood.
Look, can we just agree that the best thing to come from Sonic is the DeviantArt?
Damn it, Jim.
What?
Wait, isn't his best game Super Smash Brothers, the newest one?
Sonic Dream Collection? I don't want to know what faces I'm making when you're saying all that.
But for as big as Sonic guy as you are, you're also a big Pokemon guy. That's actually where your channel got the most hits out of it, I'd say, right?
Yeah, I'm basically back in 2013. I made this very shoddy video, and I don't mind calling it shoddy because I didn't really put that much time in it, and I'll admit that I didn't. I mean, my transition was literally like a number, like on a very like simple font with a fart sound. That's how elaborate the protection was. It was literally, and then you see the number. So I'm not gonna say that the video is amazing or anything, but I guess when you talk about shiny Pokemon and how their color is terrible, people like it. Well, I was also lucky enough that I had like a relatively big I hate saying the word PokeTuber because I don't know, this makes me feel like I want to gag when I say that. But someone who YouTubes about Pokemon, like he saw my video and he commented on it, and apparently a lot of his fans flocked over. That's how I got like a surge of subs at the time.
No, that's huge. I mean, but
take it where you can get it.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. It's funny Jim mentions that you're both a Sonic and Pokemon fan, because one time I forget when it was. I don't know if it was with G or just a random episode. We were talking about like what would be an interesting crossover. I said, wouldn't it be interesting if Sonic was in Pokemon?
Yeah, it was with G, I think.
How would you feel about that, Daniel? Would that be a big no-no?
I don't know how is that gonna work, because Pokemon is a series, that is turn-based, so it's a very slow-moving series in terms of like its gameplay design and gotta go fast. I don't know how exactly that meshes together, so I have to be on write the blueprint and kind of figure out how those two things can combine right after I write about Resident Evil and Gran Turismo.
That would be an interesting one.
Yeah, right?
What happens is that when Leon goes to a corridor, instead of a dog jumping through the window, it's a car.
Or it just turns into Dead Rising and you're just in a race car mowing over rows of zombies.
Oh,
yes.
God damn.
In fact, it'll be the opposite. That basically one of the cars changes into a zombie, and the zombie just runs very fast, and he like passes all the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris that are on the racetrack.
Zombie car, like that Stephen King movie.
Damn it, Jim.
What?
It's Christine.
I couldn't tell you which one it was.
I know you can't.
I don't read and or
like
watch.
Maximum Overdrive or something.
That's another one. That's a trucks with the Green Goblin on the
Yeah,
front.
that's the one I was thinking about. Yeah.
Blaring AC/DC.
Oh God.
All right, so one thing we like to do with our guests is to give you scenarios. And Brian's normally better at this than I am, but I do have one lined up for you. So, Blade, you got to keep one, and you got to get rid of one. Ooh. Sonic or Pokemon?
Keep Sonic and get rid of Pokemon, because as much as I hate to say this, without Sonic, I wouldn't be as big of a gamer that I am. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my favorite game of all time. So I have to do that. So I know it sounds like a very easy decision, by the way I was just deciding it.
That was way too goddamn easy.
Yeah,
you
shit,
son of a bitch.
That's what happens when I do it.
Your favorite video game of all time or anything else? Of course I'm going to choose my favorite video game of all time. I mean,
Oh, can I put a twist on it?
Okay, there you go.
I'll add my flavor. All right. So what if your options are to only play Sonic, but you can never play another video game or all other games, and you can never play another Sonic?
Oh, God.
There you go.
Yeah, you did that better.
See, that's a tough question. You see, there you go.
Screw you too.
See, Daddy had to come in and save the question.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm giving you one. I'm still leading at 8,502. Let's see. What would I choose? I might choose any other game just because of the fact that Sonic hasn't been, the best that it usually was back in the day. So maybe I could live without that. I mean, yes, Sonic Mania was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say anything bad about my Sonic Mania. It was my favorite game from 2 years ago, and I love it. But if you take that aside, I don't think there's been like a top tier Sonic game. Some people would say Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, but if I'm being objective, like as an actual critic, send Sonic 3. So, yeah, maybe I could live with that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because also at the end of the day, as you said, you still play games, and you would probably in 2 years play every Sonic game that you really love with hopes of another one coming out, beat everything, and then you'd be like, oh man, I don't get to play anything else.
Well, you have to realize how hard it is to be a Sonic fan in today's market, and basically seeing reviews everywhere of professional critics hating the games, and then the fanboys love it no matter what. And I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I think sometimes critics could be really harsh, but sometimes I think that they're not harsh enough. For example, the reviews for Sonic Forces have actually been a lot higher than what I would have given it, because I really did not like Sonic Forces at all. Compared to most people. But I'm not saying, people shouldn't, like the game. If someone likes Sonic Forces, that's good on them. I'm just saying I don't like it.
It could be worse. You could be a guy that's really getting into turbo graphics after many years.
How dare you, you son of a bitch.
I guess that's why I have my, whatchamacallit, the SD System 3, so I can actually play the entire library.
Oh, you have that.
That's all you need.
I do, yeah, because honestly, I wanted to start collecting for the system, but pretty much every retro system nowadays, everything just keeps going up, and my bank account cannot do that, so I kind of resorted to that.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I only buy a few turbo games a year, if that. And actually, what do you call it? It's starting to, somehow, we were talking about today in, a group chat, the Silent Hill games on, the PlayStation 2 era, they're going up to, $50 now.
Yeah.
2 and 3. I was like, when the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
I wish 4 years ago at Goodwill, I just bought them all up, all the copies, if I knew that shit was going to happen.
Don't even get me started about Rule of Rose for the PS2. That's the worst. I remember back when I used to work for a video game store, and I actually got a used copy of it for $20. And it's so funny, because I didn't know how much it's going to be worth, 10 years down the line, but here we are, and I'm like, I guess I have one of the rarest PS2 games ever.
Yeah, and it's such a crapshoot.
Very good game, but
Yeah.
I didn't even hear the freaking game until it got expensive. Until everyone started talking about it.
Yeah, that's why it's popular, because it got expensive. But compared to like other horror games, it's not actually all that good. It's kind of a cult game at this point, you know.
I feel like most games that are crazy expensive, it doesn't matter the system, they never live up to even half the hype that they should, or they are just actual bad games that for one reason or another, it's crazy to me. But then you got guys like Jim who would buy it.
Hey. Easy there.
I mean, I got Panzer Dragoon Saga. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but I was actually, if you want to call it lucky, and I'm going to say lucky in quotes, I got it, you know, for $150, like a complete copy, which I think is pretty good.
That's an amazingly good price.
Yeah. So, I mean, and Panzer Dragoon Saga is, in my opinion, one of those games that, it does cost a lot of money, obviously, but if you can actually get your hands on it, it is a terrific game. So, there are some exceptions.
I want to say the... Oops, sorry.
No,
you want to sell it to Jim for 3 times the price?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. No, well, I'm not saying you should spend the money, but maybe if you have, like, you know, a very nice, rich friend who might have, you know, dabbled into spending all that money, and you want to hang out with them and play it, then you should.
I'll give you $450 for it. No, I'll do that deal.
I mean, same thing for Snatcher 2. I mean, that game is also, you know, regarded as one of the probably the best game people call on the Sega CD, for example. I mean, it's Hideo Kojima. I mean, everyone loves that guy.
Right.
So, and it's funny that I think it goes for like $350 or like $400 right now. I remember in 2007 I got it for $79.99, and I was like, whew, don't have to worry about that.
Back then, you're like, why would I pay $80 for a 15-year-old game?
I mean, there's a lot of games that at the time I wish I bought, like Earthbound with the box and like the manual. I wish I got that, but I missed that bandwagon. Now it's like $800, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. You can never predict what it's going to be. Like Jim's saying, if this Silent Hill shit really takes off, then people are going to run out, buy it right now while it's kind of hot, and make it crazy expensive. And some people are just going to really make out. You just can't.
And the best part is that they're going to blame YouTubers for making the games more expensive. That's my favorite part, is that.
Oh, it's what they do every time. Okay, give us 1 second. We got to change the battery in our camera.
Okay.
All right, so next topic up. So you actually, a part of YouTube life that a lot of people are in, but that we don't know anything about, you're in an MCN. And you're actually a part of Screenwave Media. So what would you say is like the pros, maybe the cons of just like dealing with that? Like sometimes you hear horror stories, sometimes you hear that they're really helpful towards channels. What have your experiences been?
I mean, I don't really know like a lot of the legal ramifications of that, so I'm not exactly the right person to talk to. But in terms of like when it comes to like MCN, like if anyone ever gets recruited into working with an MCN, my best advice is, of course, just talk the terms with the recruiter before you actually say yes right away. Before I did Screenwave, I was with a different MCN in the past. I'm not going to mention names or anything. But I was really new to this. I actually didn't really know what being a part of an MCN entails, and then I found out after the fact that some of the terms maybe weren't exactly to my liking, and there wasn't much that I could have done with that. I had to wait a couple of years before I think I could terminate the contract, and it's nothing that they did wrong. Like, they were actually pretty transparent with me. It's more me being eager, you know, to be one of the cool kids who was part of an MCN. Because that was, well, like, back in, like, 13, when that happened. So, it was still pretty fresh at the time, and I was part of, like, a group of other YouTubers, up-and-comers, that also kept talking about, like, hey, I'm gonna be part of this and this network and whatever. So, obviously, you know, being the kid that's, like, slower than everyone else, you want to catch up to them, so I was very eager to, you know, catch up and do it, but I kind of wish that I took the time and actually weighed my options instead of just jumping on the first thing I got. So when it comes to Screenwave in comparison, like, to the other network, not only that they've been very transparent with me, but they also walk through with me about the different, you know, conditions for the contract, and the people who work there, they're some of the nicest people that I got to converse with, because it doesn't feel like, you know, some kind of a law firm that you're talking to some kind of a lawyer or whatever. They have to wear like a tie or something fancy. it's people like you and me, and that's kind of how it should be run. Yes, there has to be, people who take off all the legality of some issues, but there are people, and they feel like, actual individuals you can converse with. Like, they actually ask you, like, stuff, not, like, how much has your revenue have been increasing since 2018. They ask you, like, so, what games have you been playing lately? They actually talk to you and ask you, regular questions, and that makes me feel like they're not just an MCN, they're a family. And every time I get to converse with some of them during Too Many Games, because it's hard for me, especially because I live in the West Coast, and all of, including you guys, you're in the East Coast, so it's definitely more difficult to, just hop on a plane and do it, because plane tickets are expensive. But whenever I do get the chance, I mean, I have nothing but great things to say about screenwave in general. That was a long answer.
No, but that's a good answer. And one of the things that too many people fall into is kind of what you're saying. We were lucky enough. We had some, we won't say names either, but we had some people between MCNs and then other opportunities, I'll call them, who sent us like contracts and whatnot. And I'm just lucky enough to have a friend who's a lawyer who would look at these things. And she called out some things for me. She's like, yeah, some of these terms you might want to consider. And it just would have severely, either it would have just given up our material to like be used for whatever and allowed it to get recut in such a way that we wouldn't agree to, and we couldn't do shit with. So we're like, yeah, that's probably not the best look. I mean, we thought about that too when we first started, like, let's get part of an MCN as quickly as possible. And then we just were like, you know what, especially given our once we're tied with beer and shit, like, we would be cut.
We're not advertisable anyway.
We're not. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, yeah, we'll never fit with that probably style.
No, I think it's barely acceptable.
I see what you did there.
You better be doing that dance. You better be doing that fucking dance.
No, but speaking of that, so we wanted to get your take, being part of screenwave.
We got to bash your boss real quick.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, what'd you think of this recent backlash? And we don't usually talk much Twitter bullshit, but it seeed like good old
this affected pretty much all of gaming.
Mike Matei got a lot of heat for one of his latest tweets.
Oh, that. Oh.
And it was kind of like
living under a rock for the past. I've been living under a rock for the past few months, but even I heard about it, so I know how bad it actually is.
So I mean, I don't know. Do you know him well? Like, as you said, you're not going to see these people that often, but we did it. He was nice enough. He did an interview with us for our site
when we first started.
Like,
that's nice.
Nice dude, and it was just very interesting to see. I felt like it was probably, and Jim can correct me if I'm wrong, or you can, but I felt like he wrote something just kind of speaking off cuff, like someone like we would, who's very low impact, but not realizing he's higher impact. But then when he started responding back to people, kind of doubling down on his answers when people were like, no, that's not the point. It was like a bad look, and it was like, oh shit. Now he's either got to double down or go back, kind of like step it back. But when he tried to do that, he messed up by only retweeting people who agreed with him. And it was kind of like, maybe just drop the whole thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right step there was. But, yeah, we want to hear your take on it.
I mean, the best way to handle this, I guess, in terms of, like, who you respond to, I guess at this point, probably best to not respond at all, and start fights with everyone on the internet, especially when you're as big of a name as Mike Matei. And for the record, I don't think what he's saying is necessarily wrong. I get where he's coming from about the whole idea that using rewind features takes some of the challenge out of a game away, and I get it. Like, it actually makes sense what he's saying, because, if you play a very difficult game like, say, Contra, for example, it's a game you die in one hit, and then, if you use the rewind feature, you can obviously correct your mistake. I mean, yes, it does take a little bit of the Contra-ness out of the game, but on the other hand, if people want to use it, they can use it. It just doesn't mean, it's an authentic Contra experience, the way it was originally designed, but if the people are playing it are having fun while using this feature, then what's the big issue at the end of the day? I think that gaming has been evolving so much since its inception in the 70s, and especially, since like the NES days, Super Nintendo, and so forth, that people can play games in so many different unique ways. And people, take Pokemon for example. People can play Pokemon just by finishing the main story. People can then do battles against people online. People can also look for shiny Pokemon. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is an authentic way of playing Pokemon. It just means that there are a variety of different ways that people can find fun in video games. So I think everything is fair. It just depends on what you as an individual define as the authentic experience. And I guess to him, that's authentic. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just wrong for his perspective.
Yeah, and Contra is NES in general is a fascinating one that you're bringing up, because I'm of the opinion, like, okay, these newer generations, if they're playing a game and it comes with it's a standard feature, like, I'm all like, play it how you want. His whole thing seemed to be, yeah, if you're using those features and you say you beat it, then you can't really say you were beating the game. But then the same idea would be you can't use a Contra code, and also the same idea would be games like Legend of Zelda, Castlevania 2. If you used,
Nintendo Power,
you used anything, then in theory...
I did.
Yeah, because
everyone
had to. Like, that was the thing. Some of those games, I don't care what clues you found in a game, you would have never known. Burn the bush here, do that. Like, there's so many things that...
Or kneel down a wall and wait for a tornado in Castlevania 2, like...
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of those things where it's like, so if you used any of that, then you didn't really beat the game. It's like, you use what you have available to you, and kids today, if they're playing on a Switch and they have the rewind feature, then it's fine. Like they don't need to play the original hardware. Like, yes, you might have been able to do that, but if, like, why would they go back and do that to them? Like, I get what he's saying, but yeah, just let people have fun. I don't know.
And, like, even for me, like, what he said, yes, I agree with it. Yeah, if you use cheats and rewinds and stuff like that, then you didn't beat the game. Fine. Don't be a dick about it. Like, it's not what he said. It's a case of not what he said, but how he said it.
Yeah.
And then back to what you said, the doubling and tripling down. Like, of course, me being me on Twitter, I had to be a dick about it. So when I responded to him, I was like, wasn't the point of AVGN, the joke is, who cares this much about these old games? And he was actually just like, I've always cared about old games. It's like, dude, I get it. But it's not, like, it's these games have been around so long, who really gives that much crap at this point? Like, just let people, like, if he just went on there and said, if you use save states, then you just completed the game, you didn't beat it. And been like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Well, I also the people who beat that stuff with save states or a rewind feature actually write, I beat this game without using this. I think that most people who finish it that way at least come clean and say, okay, I use save states or whatever. I don't think everyone says, I'm now gonna go to Games Done Quick and do like a speed run and finish this game in an hour. I don't think I've heard anyone say that. So
right.
Also, I look at, like, maybe I'm too pessimistic. If I just talk to whoever and they tell me they beat a game, unless I see someone beat it, I don't know how you beat it. I don't care how you beat it. But, like, I'm just going to have to take you at your word. But maybe I assumed you did use save states. Maybe I assumed you use a Contra code. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's like, what's the point? Like, unless you're friggin' Billy Mitchell setting records. Yeah. Like, what the hell is the point? Like, it doesn't matter.
And that's also a thing with the internet these days, too, where, like, every goddamn internet argument, or even conversations these days, people are like, where's your receipts? Show receipts. Where did I say that? Where did I say this? Show this. Where did I beat this? Did you beat the game? Well, show me your whole gameplay footage. Is that what we have to do now? Yeah. We say we beat the game, we have to upload the entire gameplay footage, too?
Everyone has to record everything in a certain form. It's just fascinating that, and I get he seems to be of the more volatile type that will get into an argument, but it just seemed like a very interesting thing to, fall on your shield for. Like, I don't know.
And, like, he's been in the spotlight. He's been one of the major YouTubers for forever now.
Yeah.
So he's getting bombarded with tweets every single day, positive, negative, blah, 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 blah. So I can see it getting on you, but it's still just to just blurt this out of nowhere and to just like try and ratio yourself and die on this hill. Just I don't know, it just seems silly.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you said it best, Daniel. I mean, at the end of the day, let people play how they want. If they want to say they completed it, fine. They didn't truly beat it to your standards. It is what it is, but why call it out so hard?
Games are meant to be fun. Let people like create their own fun. That's the end of the day. What we should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim never beats games because he sucks at most games. But, if it's not an N64 game, Jim can't do shit. But you know what? Like,
hey, Jim, I have this game for you that you're definitely gonna beat. It's called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Spoilers: you die more than twice.
God, I have never played any of the Souls games. I have a few of them, but I just know.
Yeah.
Look, I beat Hotel Mario. All right.
The one game nobody asked you, and you had to use a code by the end.
No, I was using codes just because my CDI couldn't save my progress because it was very old and the battery was dead.
Because who has a CDI?
People like me, Brian.
Exactly.
Sickos like me.
Hey. Hotel Mario taught me one of the most important life lessons of all. All
Close the door.
toasters toast.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that... I don't know. It's...
kind of crazy just how it blew up. I will give him credit. Like, even though we're just like, why you're standing your ground so much, I've never seen anyone reply to every single tweet the way that guy did. So
that's true.
Especially someone who was popular as him. So kudos to him. And I have nothing wrong against him. I think it was just a case of like, just words not written properly. I mean, and this is coming from someone whose English is not his first language, so I know well enough that sometimes I have to be very, very careful what I write, so it's not going to be misconstrued, and it still happens. So I can relate, to someone who does a similar mistake, so I can't be too mad at the guy, but on the other hand, come on, guys. We all have video games. Let's get along. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving on to a bigger topic, but before we do, we just finished off Jim's Elliott Cottville IPA. It was actually a hell of a lot less bitter than most IPAs.
It was less bitter, but it still had a really like thick mouthfeel to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but no, I liked it. And honestly,
it's an IPA.
Yeah, most IPAs don't stand out. Now, what we're moving on to is a double IPA, and we've talked about it on here, but it's Victory Dirt Wolf, and of course, it's a better beer than what Jim got.
How dare you, sir?
That's not his fault.
My loving wife got me this. This is an excellent beer, and everyone should go try it. It actually is pretty good, though.
This is also a bit stronger, coming in at 8.7%. Jim's was 6%.
Jesus.
So this one packs a lot more flavor, and it's probably my second favorite beer behind Golden Monkey from Victory. So, yeah, it's pretty damn delicious. But, so Jim has been blessing us, I'll say.
More lists!
With lists of top 100 games over the decade or top X amount of games over a decade. And with Daniel on here, we wanted to go through one that Jim says is actually, it's better than what we've gone over so far.
Polygon set a low bar.
Yep. Yeah. But this comes to us from Den of Geek, and I haven't looked at this. So you're going to hear me and Daniel, you're going to hear our impressions. Very legit.
Disclosure, this is like my honest reactions. Like, I've never seen this either before, so...
Yeah.
Liar.
100% shock.
We have talked about it endlessly.
So, all right. So we'll go through them fast, and basically we'll just call out if we think they're deserving. So coming in at 100, we have Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Excellent horror game. Definitely should be on here. Probably should be lower.
I never played.
Lower than 100.
For sure. Well, I mean, okay, I guess tires what I should say. I mean lower, like in the 50s.
Oh, okay. I'm not a horror person, so I mean, besides like Resident Evil, which is like the kind of action horror-esque thing, which is more what I'm into. That's the only kind of horror I play, but I think Amnesia is like one of the most notable horror games of the past decade, so I think it should have a place on the list. Maybe for me it's gonna be like in the 90s to 100, so for me it's fine actually, so I accept it.
Okay.
All right, 99, Return of the Obra Dinn, which I think was in like the top 10 on freaking Polygon's list, if I remember right.
And I've never played it, so I can't comment on it.
It looks cool. Like, I really love what it did with the art style of it. That for sure I'm gonna give them, but I never played it either. Though I do think it just came to consoles last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's on Xbox, PS4, Switch now. So
You're saying it isn't on the Nintendo Switch?
you're holding up a Switch
I'm
now,
showing
aren't
the
you?
Switch on the.
Yes, you are, you
so
son of a
it makes
bitch.
more sense when you see the video.
All right,
Plug.
98. We got World of Warcraft. I feel like this has to be higher than 98.
Yeah, it feels low.
I mean, just for importance, whatever. And I'm all someone who puts importance out the window, but dear God, have that higher.
I mean, it's specifically the classic version, which is going back to the old version, but so I don't know how you really count that, but
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't WoW like 2004?
something like that.
It's
Yeah.
They're saying that for whatever reason, they're listing this as 2019.
Because they re-released the classic version.
Oh, so that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's like if I give, like, Sonic 3 my number one because they released, the phone version of it in the 2010s.
that's true.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
so you know what? See, that's why you're here, Daniel.
Voice of reason.
I mean, I'm not against, classic WoW, but there's so many other games that came out in a decade. Why should that take a spot of another game that could be on? That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
All right, 97, PUBG.
Absolutely should be on here. Should be higher.
Low for us.
Should be much higher on this list, in my opinion, because I think it's way better than Fortnite. But
I'll give you that, at least.
Blade, are you a Battle Royale guy at all?
No, the only one I really kind of tried is Apex, and even then I'm not, that into it.
yeah,
Which is ironic, because I'm actually really big into Overwatch. Like, that's actually the one shooter I keep playing all the time. But I've never gotten into the Battle Royale craze because I'm not the best at shooters, so I'm the kind of person who dies pretty early, and then I'm like, okay, now I have to watch what's going on.
that's just like Jim.
Brian's having a good time over here.
All right. 96, we got XCOM Enemy Unknown. Every list we've done, it has to be on here. This is, to me, still too low. It should be higher because
I agree.
I thought, it brought back tactical turn-based games. So, and it was
And not
fun
even
as shit.
that, because a lot of the tactical turn-based games are usually from Japan, like Fire Emblem and like the Shining Force games and stuff like that. XCOM is, a Western release, and the fact it appeals to a Western audience and it did as well as it did, I think that's very commendable, considering the fact it's not something that usually appeals, to the Call of Duty crowd, if you want to call that.
Exactly. So,
All right, 95, Outer Wilds. Never played, never really heard of.
same.
The only thing I know is that I know the people from Giant Bomb really like it, but I haven't really delved into it. I just keep hearing it's like a better No Man's Sky.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's good, but that's all I know about it.
94, Rainbow Six Siege. I think it's one of the most popular shooters outside of Call of Duty and Battlefield of this generation. Should be on here, but I'll be honest, I didn't play it, but I've seen enough video of it, and it looks pretty damn good. So I guess that's a good spot for it.
Yeah, I didn't play it. I know people love it.
From my perspective, I mean, I remember when it was one of the last games that they showed at Ubisoft's E3 back. I'm not sure which year it was. I think maybe 2014 or 2013, one of those years, whatever. But I thought it was really cool, that the whole like game world takes place, in like an apartment that one team has to break into and the other team has to, one team has
like
to save the
fortify.
hostage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And the other are like the terrorists or whatever. And I like it's very like self-contained. It's like, in a big warfare. It's actually very grounded in reality, I guess, in comparison. So I thought that was very
Exactly.
cool. That's not something a lot of games do, and more importantly, they keep supporting it, and that's pretty awesome.
All
No,
right.
for sure.
93, New Super Mario Brothers U. Which I think was in like the top 10 of Polygon's list, if I remember correctly.
What?
It should
pretty
be on
high up
here,
there.
but it should be this high.
I'm fine with where it's at. It's another new Super Mario Brothers. There's way too many of them at this point, but
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how the whole list shapes up, because maybe there are going to be some other platformers later down the line, but of all the platformers that came out last decade, really? Okay.
Yeah. As long as nothing else on the Wii U is too high, I'm cool with
Here
that.
we go.
Next up, we have Sonic Forces at number 5. No, no.
Blade just saw his computer.
Coming in
Podcast
at
over.
92, one of me and Jim's favorite, Titanfall. I don't
We
know
love
if
it.
I don't know if they're gonna have Titanfall 2 on the list later down. I hope they don't do that. Like, I'd rather them pick one or the other. But it's a great first-person shooter. Really gets crowds into the mech who were like Call of Duty fanboys, and it was just very accessible, very underrated, fun shooter. I'm actually fine with where it's at too.
Yeah,
Well,
it just lacked features. That's his
it
biggest
all
problem.
depends, like Daniel just said, where the rest of the list goes.
Did you play it?
When it comes to Titanfall, I remember back, like, in 2013, that was the killer app of the Xbox One. Like, that's the game they were, like, saying, oh, that's gonna make people buy the Xbox One. And for the record, back then, the Xbox One actually had some pretty okay exclusives, during the launch time, like Dead Rising 3 and Killer Instinct. So Titanfall got a lot of, attention, especially since, the PS4 barely had any exclusives during that time, unless you count Knack, which who does? But
Yeah.
Titanfall, I mean, I never played it because I didn't have an Xbox One at the time, but I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about it because it was mostly just the multiplayer experience, and the single-player experience that they did have over there was kind of a training missions.
It wasn't a lot. It was barely tacked on.
Yeah, by 2 they pretty much corrected it, but the first one was bare bones, but it was just pure fun.
Yeah, and when it comes to Titanfall 2, I will say this. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best campaigns in a first-person shooter of all time. Like, I'll go that far. It's really good.
Hopefully it's on the list somewhere.
So like you said yourself, I mean, I really hope it's not going to be like one per franchise, because I do think Titanfall 2, even if you include the multiplayer as well, which is that like the correct, the proper comparison between it to its prequel, I still think it's a superior game to Titanfall.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, 91. Yeah, this is a little low for me. StarCraft 2.
It should be higher. Jim was a StarCraft guy. I played the original StarCraft, but I knew how big this was when it came out. You got to have it higher on this list.
And it still had a huge competitive, like, professional esports kind of thing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an RTS guy myself, but I heard that, especially for a sequel that's been like in development for so long, and for people who've been waiting forever, if there's one company you can trust to make a high quality product, it's Blizzard. And I've heard that they really did a good job with StarCraft 2, and for your sakes, I hope it was higher. So there you go.
Nah, thank you.
Number 90, we got Mortal Kombat 10. This will be a friggin' sin if that's the only if they don't have Mortal Kombat 9 on here, because as I've stated in the last, Mortal Kombat 9 brought in this new engine that Injustice and all these other fighting games have played off of, and it's the best fighting game of this generation, whether you do 9 or 10. And if you leave it at 90, I'm going to be pissed. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So they put, which one did they put? Did they put 10,
10.
or?
They put 10 at number 90.
Yeah, I would say 9 is the best. I don't think it's just the best, of the decade in terms of Mortal Kombat games. It's the best Mortal Kombat game, period.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
strong argument for that, yeah.
It's the first fighting game where we said the story was so fleshed out and it was so well thought out, and the crypt and the tower, like they had so much to that game, and the brutalities, like it just revamped everything. And like I said, since the Injustice games and everything, which people love to this day, are all based off that engine, it's like
it's revolutionary for fighting games, and I think people really underestimate how much NetherRealm Studios really put into their games in terms of content, because even the best fighting games out there like Street Fighter and I don't know what else, Tekken, they don't compare when it comes to actual single player experience anymore, because I think a lot of them focus on just like, introducing new characters, with the season passes or whatever, and just focus, on like Evo and stuff like that, which is fine. Yep. I have nothing against that. But I remember back in the day when I used to play, Tekken 3, and I'm playing through, like, the beat-em-up mode a lot, because that was actually really fun to do. And they don't really have, modes like that anymore. And with Mortal Kombat, I just spent hours doing, the towers, with the different, conditions to win battles. learning all the fatalities, which, I mean, wow, almost every single fatality in that game is pretty much like a top 10 tier, and they just never really captured the same magic of Mortal Kombat 9, even though I do think 10 and 11 did some really good things. I do think 9 is superior to both of them.
Exactly. 10 was good. They upped the graphics, and I actually enjoyed some of the new characters they gave, but 11, it kind of felt like they just kind of were doing the same old game. But yeah, no, I agree.
11, I'm not going to go into too much, like, of a rant right now, but 11 kind of upset me because of the whole time travel narrative, because was kind of... Mortal Kombat 9 did the same thing. Why retread the time travel thing? Where I actually thought that Mortal Kombat 10 actually did some cool stuff without having to use time as a plot element.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 89. We could talk about Mortal Kombat all day, I think.
I could.
Untitled Goose Game in 89.
What the fuck? Like, I don't even know what that is. I haven't played it. I don't know it. It looks like
it's a meme. It's a meme. People like it.
It looks like The Sims dumbed down.
It's not The Sims. It's like it's actually more like Metal Gear Solid.
No. I'm saying the isometric
graphics.
view, like the graphics. All I'm saying is it just made all those picks I said maybe should be higher, like Titanfall, XCOM, and Mortal Kombat. Like, what the fuck? That kills
This is the one where you're gonna say maybe it should be lower.
Yeah, that should be 100. All right.
I mean, honestly, the game, it's entertaining for what it is, and like you said, I think it's more of a like beginning of list sort of title. I think it's definitely serviceable for like a chuckle. It's definitely any game that puts a smile on your face and it's a genuine smile, not like haha, the game is like so broken, let's make fun of it, but actually makes you laugh. I think they're doing something right. So
exactly,
I have to give it credit where credit is due. I'm not saying it's the best indie game of the decade or anything like that, but it's pretty fun.
Just don't have it beaten Mortal Kombat 10.
Here we go. The other list, he had it with Skyrim. Now it's gonna be Mortal Kombat 10.
I've heard that in the
one.
new Kombat Pass, the goose is gonna be in the character pack, so you're gonna play
Goose for Smash.
So 88, we have Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Should not beat Mortal Kombat. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, the fighting game fan nerds will disagree with you.
And they're wrong, because they only care about esports. And like me and Daniel just said, it's about you should have single player and content, which that game doesn't.
It does have a single player mode.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's one of the few exceptions they actually did include that.
Yeah, no. It has it. I'm just saying, compared to Mortal Kombat, it doesn't
of course.
have it.
No. I mean,
exactly.
I'm a huge Dragon Ball mark, so I still want to play it, but I want to wait until it's like $10 because I hear it's got a maybe a somewhat short story player mode, and that's all I'd ever play it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually fun. Like I when I did my top 10 games last year, it was my number 5, I want to say. So I did really enjoy it. But like you said, I don't think it stacks up to the Mortal Kombat. At least it doesn't to 9 and 10 for me. Maybe I rank it higher than Mortal Kombat 11, but I still really enjoy it. And I mean, I think the one thing that really strikes me as, the peak of the game's achievements is the graphical style, because of course it looks like the anime, but they took the graphical engine they used for Guilty Gear Xrd from 2014 and they use it for the Dragon Ball Z game, and my god, I don't know how ArcSys does it, because those are polygons, they're not sprites, but they move like they're sprites. They're geniuses, and I have to commend them for what they managed to pull off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very true. All right, number 87, Splatoon.
Yep. It should be on here.
Yeah.
The spot comparing it to where other things are, still a little pissed, but it's fine.
It's
all right.
It was a killer app for the Wii U.
Yeah, it's fine. 86, the Stanley Parable, which this game has been on every list. I've seen it played. I just need to play it because now I need to know what the hell. It looks like something I would enjoy, but I haven't played it.
I've never played it.
I mean, I am not a big fan of those, narrative walking simulator that some people, jokingly called them. Like Dear Esther and stuff like that. I'm the kind of person who prefers, gameplay first, then the narrative should be interwoven to the gameplay. But Stanley Parable might be an exception because it's a comedy game and it subverts your expectations, because I don't want to spoil much about it, but a lot of the fun is basically like, you have a narrator that kind of tells you what to do, and it's actually really fun to go against what the narrator says, and actually hearing the voice of the narrator actually getting upset, and how the narrator tries to screw you, the player, for not listening to him. Which, I'm not gonna go into spoilers, obviously, but I think for that reason, it's worth the play. Best 100 of the decade, I'm not 100% sure of, but it's a funny game, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. 85. Animal Crossing. New Leaf. I've never played any of them, but I know people love them some Animal Crossing.
I'm fine with it being on the list. Spot to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be my hottest take this whole time, but I'm actually not a big Animal Crossing fan. Like, I tried it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm the kind of person who I like goals in my games. Like, I like to basically work towards achieving something. And Animal Crossing is a game where you just live life and do, stuff that you do in your life. Like grow plants or collect bugs or decorate your room. Stuff that just does not appeal to me. Like,
so would you say it's like cute Sims married Minecraft?
Basically, yeah. And I'm just not that kind of guy who's into the whole, decorating stuff. And I'm nothing against the people who love it, because obviously Animal Crossing sells millions upon millions. And I played, some decent time with New Leaf, but the whole point is that you have to collect money in order to improve, your place. You have to pay your debt to Tom Nook, for example. And there's a way you can get a lot of money by going to this island and keep catching golden beetles, and then you sell them. So when you keep doing this thing over and over again, you keep saying the same screen, doing the same monotonous activity over and over, it just gets kind of boring after a while. Which is why my favorite Animal Crossing game is the GameCube one, because at least with that, you get a reward for your effort, which were the NES games. So
you heard it here. Daniel said, anyone who likes Animal Crossing, you're dumb.
Also, Harvest Moon and Stardew. He says he hates you too.
You're a poopy head.
All right, 84, we have Halo Reach. If it's, I guess, of all the Halos, if you're going to throw a Halo on there, fine. Spot.
I'm actually fine with the Spot. Like, I love Reach and I love Halo, but I'm fine with the Spot.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll probably choose, any game of the original trilogy over Reach, but if we're talking about the past decade, I guess, Reach probably.
Way better than 4 or 5.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you choose? So sure.
Yeah, exactly. 83, Dragon Quest 11. I've never played a Dragon Quest. I'm not an RPG guy, but people love it for a reason.
Yeah, I'm fine with it on there because I'm in the same boat as Jim.
I played it for the first 10 hours myself on the PS4. I mean, I wish I played the Switch version because they improved the music. They actually use proper orchestra instead of, crummy MIDI tracks, which you'd think the PS4 would have the better soundtrack, but I guess it wasn't available. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail of what happened with that. But my main problem with the game is that what I like about Japanese RPGs is the fact there's a lot of strategy of, how you build your party and what attacks you use. But I felt like my first 10 hours with the game have been very automated. I see a group of enemies, attack, 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 attack. It just became so mind-numbing, and that I just kind of, call it quits. But I may get back to it one day, because I heard from a lot of people it gets way better down the line, but there's so many other...
Like that. I hate games that are you have to play for 20 hours before it gets good. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
Be good from the start.
I usually prefer the games that capture my attention right at the very beginning instead of having to go for 15, 20 hours or whatever. I mean, this is not really to say that Dragon Quest 11 is a bad game. It's just not something that I loved a lot when it came out. But maybe I'll give it a chance on the Switch. Because I heard that there's a 2D mode on the Switch that kind of reverts back to the pixelated art of the Super Nintendo titles, or should I say Super Famicom titles. Sorry,
that's pretty cool.
Purist. And I heard it kind of loads faster too. So for someone like myself with very low attention, I have a very low attention span. That means that it goes by much faster.
Nah, we got you. All right, so 82, we have Beat Saber, which it was released in 2019. It's odd that this is making it this high on the list. I haven't played it. But any VR game that's a rhythm-based game that's that new shouldn't be hot. This,
you know what? Everyone who plays it says it's fun as hell. And this, if I was gonna buy a VR game, it would be for this game. I really do want to play it. I just don't want to plunk down the money for a VR set.
So Jim just confirmed it shouldn't be this high on this list.
Never. I'll tell you.
'Cause
It should be on the
Jim's
list.
always wrong.
I'm the kind of person who doesn't do well with VR because I admit I get nauseous pretty easily.
Ah, crap. I might be screwed too.
Yeah, I mean,
I get the motion sickness.
I want to love VR because I had a PSVR for like a few months during last year, and I did love some games like Astrobot on the PS4 was really fun, but I can't play VR for more than like 30 minutes, which sucks because games like Beat Saber that looks pretty fun. I mean, you get to use swords. I'm BladeBlur. I mean,
It just makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to protect my head so I don't get another migraine. So hopefully when the technology becomes better, like when face tracking is better, so there's less, motion sickness, I'll delve into that again. But for the placement, I think it's pretty fair to put it. So, it is a popular VR game. So, yeah, it should have a representation.
All right. 81. The game you brought up earlier. Apex Legends. I've not played.
It should be on here. I don't know. Placement, once again, in relation to other games.
I guess.
Finely tuned PUBG.
I mean, it's by the same people who made Titanfall and Titanfall 2, so
Yeah.
it plays really well. Didn't really grab my attention, but it's a good game. Not much bad to say about it, so good on you, Respawn. Just give me Titanfall 3 already, please.
Agreed.
Number 80, we have Super Mario 3D World. We know Mario's going to infest this, but as I said earlier, get those Wii U games out of the way a
Hater.
little higher.
It had good games.
It had 2 games. Like let's face it, it had Splatoon in this. That's it.
No.
Because everything got ported to the Switch. Doesn't mean it didn't
I
have
was about to
games.
say, it had
If
games.
something was also on the Switch, I'm not counting it for the Wii U anymore.
Well, just
There
give
you
it a
go.
few more
piece of
days.
garbage.
It's gonna show up on the
Exactly.
Switch.
All right, 79.
But
God of
I
War
want to say very
3.
quickly before we move
Oh,
to
sorry,
the next number. Just in general, like when we had like Mario U earlier, I think that they should only have 3D World. I don't think Mario U is really necessary, especially when we have maybe like Mario Maker showing up. I think that's a better representation of like 2D Mario.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can agree
exactly.
with that. All right, 79. God of War 3. I played it. I liked it. It was a God of War game.
Yeah.
There's if they have God of War 3, they better have the newest God of War. And
Did you play that yet?
No, but I'm just saying, like, from everything I've read, I did play God of War 3. I know the new one's better. I just know. Right.
I would say from the original trilogy, like 1, 2, and 3. 3 is my second favorite after the first one. So I did enjoy it from the gameplay, but the story kind of sucked, especially towards the end where it really nosedives, which I didn't like because I actually appreciated what they were starting to build up from the first game. But
They
it's
had a
fun
cool world
action
to it.
game. Like 2010 as a whole, like as a year, was a really good year for hack and slash games with God of War 3, Darksiders, Dante's Inferno, and my waifu Bayonetta. So
Yeah.
I really remember that year because that was like the year of the hack and slash. So it was really fun to play all those games like back to back, and God of War 3 was really good. IMO. but is it better than God of War 2018? Probably not.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, that'll probably show up later on anyway.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
So at 78, we have Saints Row the Third, which I'm going to say is one of the most underrated games. It's better than most Grand Theft Autos, and I know that might be sacrilegious to say,
It's just more fun.
but it has so much goddamn charm. And there's a goddamn level where you have to drive around with a tiger in your passenger seat as it scratches you, listening to Return of the Mac as you try and reach a finish point. There's just too much goofiness, and you have a frigging gun that's made of a giant extended dildo that shoots people into outer space. Like, there's just too much about that game that's too funny that, yeah, if you like Grand Theft Auto and you want it goofy, that's what this game is.
There's room in the world for both. If you're looking for that HBO crime drama, get Grand Theft Auto. If you just want to have an open world that's completely bonkers, get Saints Row.
Exactly.
All right, 77. Middle of Earth, Shadow of Mordor.
Ooh.
This was a game that people creamed their pants over. I only spent like an hour or two on it. It was fun, but I want to go back to it one day.
Now,
But
it for modern hack and
It's
slash.
probably the best Lord of the Rings game that's ever come out.
Yeah, and
by
for
far.
modern hack and slash, it's probably one of the best to be out right now. So
I remember like very clearly when I made my very first top 10 year game. It was 2014. It was my number 2, and I remember saying at the time it was my favorite Assassin's Creed game, and I still stand by what I said because it really feels like Assassin's Creed, you know, in terms of like how you sneak around, you know, orcs and kill them or whatever. The Nemesis system alone, that was the main reason why I kept going. I think just, you know, battling specific orcs and, you know, recruiting them and then, you know, joining forces together against another group of orcs. Like, there was something very authentic, very genuine about how they do, you know, the recruitment aspect of it, of the Nemesis system, which is sad because I remember I was playing all that and then I saved the story for the end, and the story actually towards the end like really, really sucked. So it doesn't actually, you know, compare to the meat and potatoes of like the side quests you get to do. But I still think it's also one of the best action games that came out in the last decade. Maybe I wouldn't rank it as high as I did back then, but I still think it's a really, really fun game. And especially for someone like myself who doesn't even like Lord of the Rings all that much, I really had a blast with it.
yeah, for sure.
All right, 76. A game Blade knows all too well. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I didn't play it.
Eee!
Yeah, I didn't play it yet, but from all accounts, it definitely should be on here, and I can't wait to play it.
I think my favorite part of Sekiro was when it won the Game Awards and everyone went, huh? What's that? What happened to my Death Stranding? Kojima-kun, no!
Oh. They tried everything they could to have Death Stranding be the game.
I will say about Sekiro, like what makes it different than at least a regular Souls game is that when you get stuck in Demon Souls or Dark Souls or Bloodborne or whatever one of them, you can at least grind enemies and build up, like, you know, experience so you can boost up your stats. You don't have that in Sekiro. You only have your own, you know, reflexes to really trust. You have to know when to parry, when to counter, and when to use the right move for the right time. So it's pure skill. So saying myself that I managed to beat Sekiro, which is an incredibly tough game, was probably my biggest gaming accomplishment of the year. But it wasn't because the game was like overly tough and unfair. I felt that as I was playing, I was learning patterns and becoming better, just so I can get to see the next, you know, cool area or awesome enemy that I get to outsmart. So it was a very fulfilling gaming experience. And even for those who are not big into the Souls formula, if you like the action games like, you know, Ninja Gaiden, for example, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
All right, 75.
75, we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which, okay, I'm just going to read their first sentence, which says, Skyward Sword's legacy will always be partially based on the things that it failed to do. If you have that as your first sentence, you can't have that at number 75, especially because we know Breath of the Wild will probably be in your top 10. Get it higher on your list, is all I'm going to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone's like, oh, I hate Skyward Sword. Okay.
It's also Wii U. Enough said.
Well, it came out on the Wii.
Wii U.
Well, it's funny, too, because I remember back in the day when it first came out, a lot of publications gave it, like, a perfect score, like 10 out of 10 and whatever.
Course.
But now that more time passes, like, people now hate Skyward Sword, I guess because they hate the motion controls. I'm with the mindset that I wouldn't mind if they, you know, give us an HD port and maybe, like, scrap the motion controls, just give us, like, regular analog controls on the Switch. I wouldn't mind experiencing that game with, like, a nicer coat of paint and, like normal gameplay.
Yeah, do that with normal controls. Do Star Fox Zero with normal controls. There's two good ports that the Switch could really use.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, 74. PT, which was in the top 10, top 20, I think, on Polygon's list. All right, this is a way better spot for it.
All right, number one,
Here we go.
I'm the horror guy. Get this the fuck off the list. If you want to do best gaming moments, I'm fine with it. But the fact that people can't play today, unless you do some back alley shit, like I got PS4 too late, I can't play it.
And it was just a trailer.
And it was a trailer. It was it was essentially a demo of what could be, which never turned into anything. And it was a huge gaming moment, and people freaked out about it. But guess what? You can't have it on the best games when it's not a fucking game when no one can play it.
Especially when
as
it's
that.
over like 25 other games. Which
Exactly. Like
drives me nuts.
that's friggin' ridiculous.
And you know what? I really played a full version of PT that I really enjoyed. It's called Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Like, there was that, Layers of Fear, so many games that just took that and were like, oh, we can make a game out of this. Get that the hell off. Like,
just because PT was like a meme and it was trending on Twitter and like every YouTuber in the world was making videos of them going like every single time
the reactions
showed up. Fine, it was a great moment for the decade, but it's not one of the best games because it's, I hate to say it, but it's not technically a game.
Exactly.
Sorry, rant mode off. I'm gonna.
No, I'm right there with you. That pissed me off too.
I'm gonna simmer down. I'm supposed to be the nice guy of YouTube.
It's getting hot.
I'm turning into Black Hole Dan.
73, we have Nier
Automata.
Never played it.
People love it. I've never played it, but I know people absolutely love it, so it should be on the list.
It should be. I love it.
Okay.
Very quick, I'll just talk about it. It's Platinum Games at their peak. Really fun action. And the story is really bonkers. It's one of those games that once you finish it, once you actually want to keep going because it actually not requires you for multiple playthroughs, but there's different things that change in the narrative that I don't want to spoil, but it's actually very interesting and thought-provoking. Especially like the very last playthrough you have to do. A lot of there's a lot of meta narrative and like fourth wall breaks that happen that I don't want to spoil, but very interesting, and yeah, it definitely deserves to be in the top 100 for sure. I would place it much higher than like 70. What is it, 4?
73. Yeah.
73. Yeah, I would probably go much higher with that, but yeah, I'm glad it is at least there. So,
all right,
I would
72.
say before
sorry.
that the game is near perfect.
Oh, damn! There's some high praise right there.
And I'll do the dance for you because I know you like that.
All right, 72. Super Meat Boy should definitely be on the list.
Definitely be on the list.
I'm actually fine with the spot. I have no issue, really.
One of the best indies of the decade, I would say. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of indies, and I think is only available because of Meat Boy, Shovel Knight 71. It's another one, super popular. Yeah,
I'd say it could probably be higher.
It could be a shy.
It could be.
It could be, I think, high 60s.
This is the one that like really kicked off like the big like every indie game now looks like a retro game.
Like a pixel, like 8-bit sort of thing. And like I thought it was a good game, but I wasn't one of those people who went like, oh my god, this is the best platformer ever made. It just combines everything I love. I thought it was okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good.
I enjoyed it, but it never really like blew my mind.
Right, it didn't reinvent the wheel, but it was still good.
It was still good. I just don't understand, some people say, one of the best things since sliced bread. And don't get me wrong, but sliced bread is pretty good.
It's true. All right, it's number 70, Papers, Please. One I never played. I think I have it downloaded through Xbox.
Yeah, it's been a couple lists, and...
Oh, no, not Xbox.
No, it's another one I haven't played, but I think it's kind of like Her Story, where it's just a very narrative-driven, interesting, kind of like inspection-based game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot for it, too. I don't have much to say about it because I haven't played it much, but yeah, I can take it.
Yeah. 69, we have Life is Strange, which, of course, it's been on every list, and this is another one. I just haven't played yet, but it's another very, very narrative-based game. That's what's
episodic narrative-based game, too.
Yeah, so I don't know if it should be on here, but it's been
I think it should be on here. It might be a little high for me, just because...
Yeah, until I play it, I can't say, but I'm saying sure it should be on here.
Well, why do you think it should be there?
I saw the amount of hype and praise behind it and seemed to get people into games, or at least more in-depth into games that weren't typically gamers. So just from that alone and the narrative that it drove, if it gets people talking enough, it probably has something there.
Yeah, like I could care less about narrative games, but if it's one that gets that much attention, then there must be something to it. So it should be on the list.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, because I haven't played it, I know there's like a time travel aspect to it that you can go back in time and change some of your decisions. As far as I know, if they had to put some of those like episodic narrative games, it should probably be either that or The Walking Dead, the first season, in which that I
Walking
probably
Dead better
think
be on there.
Hopefully
I
it's
think
on
that's
here.
probably gonna show up because, of course, we were like, no, don't worry about me, Clementine. I'll be okay. Bleh.
Exactly.
Bleh.
All right.
That's how he goes. Just goes. Bleh.
All right, 68, Heavy Rain. This is a game that disappointed everyone. Why the hell is it this high on this list?
I have no idea. This is
What the fuck?
embarrassing that this beat out. I'm gonna say it. Mortal Kombat 10. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Video games are all about emotion.
I
Yelling out for your son for a fucking half hour. Okay, yeah, that beats Mortal Kombat. Okay.
I'm fine.
I give Heavy Rain a Jason out of 10.
Nope, they fucked up with that.
No, you know what? Let me take a more serious note, because Heavy Rain was one of the first games of the decade. Like, it was like March of 2010 or something like that.
It was early, yeah.
And you have to give credit for what it was doing, at least for that time. Like, there weren't many that narrative games out there that, were all about, like, context-sensitive moments where you have to press the button at the right time and you do specific actions. And I do have to give, David Cage credit on one aspect, is that the story does change depends on the decisions you make. So if a character dies in one scene, they don't come back. The story actually changes completely to the point that there's like 24 different endings. I respect him there. Like, I think that, especially for its time, I think that was really ambitious. I don't think it's like should be that high, but I respect it, if anything.
Yeah, it's ambitious as hell.
And it's weird to me because I think he regressed in Beyond Two Souls, because that game was a lot more simplistic, even though from an acting perspective it was much superior. Obviously when you have Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe, yes, the acting is a little bit better than some French people who don't know English as well, admittedly.
Right.
But the gameplay took a step backwards, which is weird. And I haven't really played much of Detroit, but I heard Detroit is actually decent. But it's more decent for like, hey, let's all watch this campy sci-fi movie and make fun of it, not, as a genuine story, so to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know what? If anything, if you want to include any of those, like, David Cage-esque experiences in the top 100, Until Dawn.
Exactly. For sure.
I think that was the best of all of them.
It better be on this list. That's all I'm going to say.
I would be upset if, like, Heavy Rain made it and not Until Dawn, so.
No.
All right, 67, Injustice 2. Should definitely be on the list.
Best DC game based on the Mortal Kombat engine. Probably the best fighting game of the past 5 years. So, sure. Should be on
Yeah,
there.
if we don't include, like, if you say 5 years and not, like, Mortal Kombat, like, 9, then yeah, probably. I don't think anything else comes close. I mean, maybe I enjoy Dragon Ball FighterZ just a little bit more, just from, like, a spectacle perspective, but I think Injustice and it are very close to one another.
Yeah.
At least they put effort into, like, the collectibles and stuff you can do in it, so.
Oh,
Exactly.
definitely.
66, Destiny. Yes, it should be on here. Should it be this high? Because it was a bit of a...
Looter shooter.
Yeah, it should be on here just for how big of a spectacle it was. I'll say that.
I mean, good for Bungie for doing something,
They made a
separate
shitload
from
of
the
money.
Halo universe, I guess, but
Yeah.
it never captivated me as well as much as Halo did.
Yeah, it never grabbed me. 65, Pokemon X and Y. Blade?
Wait, Pokemon X?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. You tell me. Oh, God damn it. Oh, I walked
Jim,
into
you were
that.
too
I
slow.
can't believe you didn't catch it when I first did.
Oh, that's Jim.
All right, moving on. Quick.
I'll just go quick with Pokemon. I don't want to take too much time with Pokemon. Why X and Y? I thought they would go maybe like with Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield. Just
They
seems
may
like an odd
still.
decision.
For all you know, they might still do that.
I mean, the only reason why you would put X and Y is because it's the first 3D Pokemon game, like the mainstream 3D Pokemon game, because it was on the 3DS. But yeah, I would probably go with Sword and Shield over any of the main ones, but that's just me.
Yeah. 64, Her Story. definitely should be on here. Probably a little too high. It's a game that, if you got 3 or 4 hours, it's a super unique way to play a game, and I liked it a lot, and I hope other games do it, but it should be on here.
Yeah. Honestly, that one I don't have much to add. I agree with you 100%.
There you go. 63. South Park: The Stick of Truth. This should be lower.
Should be higher.
Well, wherever we can. I mean, I'm saying it should be like the 20s.
I'm saying it should be in the 20s.
I was going to say 20s, yeah.
Because
we keep changing how we mean these.
Yeah. All right, we'll say from now on we'll say higher, meaning closer to 1.
I'll forget.
But basically, South Park: The Stick of Truth, the funniest game of the decade, without a doubt, with the best humor and the best adaptation of any
license ever. To make a game legitimately fun and also stick so true to the license. Stick?
It should be way higher.
Yeah, I remember also when it first came out, like, everyone was talking about it, especially people who are not even big fans of the show really enjoyed it. Though I do want to give a small shout out to Fractured Butthole, because I thought that game was also pretty good as well.
Oh,
yeah, that kind of got crapped on, too.
It's good, but the problem is Stick of Truth just created such a big goddamn expectation.
It's the precedence, it created...
Exactly.
It's the one that surprised everyone, so... Obviously, Fractured can't, leave that much of an impact, but I'm also more of a superhero guy compared to, like, the fantasy setting, so I like, the whole cool friends storyline that they were going with, so... honestly, both of those games are interchangeable. They're both great, and I think if people love the show, and even if they like, RPGs like Super Mario RPG, and yes, I know it's a weird comparison to make, but
more accessible, but still turn-based and all that stuff. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, or Earthbound. Actually, that's another good comparison I can make, because it's like in a contemporary setting compared to like fantasy or sci-fi.
Yeah.
All right, 62, we have Deus Ex, Human Revolution, should be on here. I'm actually probably okay with this where it's at. Yeah.
Wait, Human Revolution, that's the one in 2011, right? I think?
You have 2011.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, because there's a sequel, I think it was Mankind Divided. That was the one that was not as good.
Yeah,
for Human Revolution, I mean, I like those stealth games, personally, so yeah, that's a good spot for it.
Yeah.
All right, and 61, the game we actually just talked about, Until Dawn.
Absolutely should be on here.
There you go. Yeah, I was about to say. It's kind of funny too because I didn't know who Rami Malek, who played Josh in Until Dawn, was until I played Until
Mr. Robot.
Dawn. Yeah, I saw Mr. Robot like the first few episodes, and he wins an Academy Award for playing Freddie Mercury. So good on you, Rami Malek. I like you and your
Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1.
thick expression when you go,
ow! Damn it. But he was in Twilight.
Shut the fuck up, Jim. It should be on here. I would prefer it a little higher, but given how short of a game it is, even that with a million different outcomes, I'm fine with it.
I mean, what I really liked about it is the fact that if you make a mistake, you can't go back. You have to live with your mistake.
Exactly.
And that really raises the tension compared to some of those other David Cage titles that don't really give you a similar tension.
Yeah.
And it was well produced. It looked phenomenal. Didn't they make a game this year? I think it's called Men of Medan or something like that.
Yeah, it's the one based on the ship. It's it's almost identical to the style, but yeah, I forget what it's called, but it's on a ship.
Yeah, I heard it didn't do as well. Like critically, I heard it wasn't as good.
Exactly. And I'll just say it should be higher because we have number 60 as Bastion, which I've heard good things.
I didn't play it. I know people love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Until Dawn should be higher than goddamn Bastion.
I mean, why Bastion? I mean, there's so many other characters in Overwatch you can go with, like Tracer or Reinhardt.
Those are great questions.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna take.
That's an Overwatch joke that we don't get because we don't know with this.
No.
That was wasting on us, fool.
Any list.
Jokes on me.
Right now, someone out there is just having a good laugh, and we're just sitting here like, dude.
But any list that has PT and has some of these, I'm gonna just be like, okay, I have to expect like a couple good choices and then one shit one.
I would say about Bastion, the reason why I actually played that game originally is pretty interesting because I was an avid reader of GameSpot back in the day. And some of the people, who used to work on GameSpot eventually are now in Giant Bomb, like Jeff Gertzman, for example. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them as much. But one of the people who used to write a lot for GameSpot was Greg Kasavin, who was a very famous reviewer back in the day. He was there until 2007. And then I believe he got hired to work for EA. He was producing some Command & Conquer titles. And then he was saying, you know what, I'm going to make my own indie company with a bunch of people. And he created Supergiant Games. And that's how I actually wanted to play Bastion, because I was like, oh, Greg Kasavin is behind this. I like his writing. He's a good writer. Let me try this game. And lo and behold, it was pretty decent. I'm not in love with it as much as other people are, but I thought it was still very cool. And their other two titles, I think Transistor and Pyro are also pretty decent. So, good on you, Greg. Proud of you.
Yeah. All right. So, your turn.
59, Wolfenstein: The New Order. One I really want to play, I just haven't gotten to.
You wouldn't have the new Doom without it, so sure.
There we go.
Wolfenstein is, I think for the story alone, it's worth playing. It plays fine. I really enjoyed the action, but the stuff that happens in the story is just bonkers. And this is the first one, New Order, not New Colossus, right?
Right.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, maybe New Colossus is gonna show up, but New Colossus has the most WTF moments in the game I've seen in my life ever. And I wish I could talk about it, but a lot of it is just spoilers. Stuff that you don't think can happen in a video game, but it does happen. You're like, what the hell just happened? Even if you're not a fan of first-person shooters, like the whole alternate history thing with what happened if the Nazis won World War II, and what happens when the United States are actually taken over by, a Nazi regime, and how, there are different sides of the country who are pro-Nazis, and some of them are anti. It's actually a fairly interesting narrative that they've created, but it's not very dour, too. It actually has a lot of humor, some really good acting, too, which really surprised me. They actually have a bunch of people from Matt TV in the game, which is okay.
Oh, wow.
For that. So
58, we got Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which, of course, has to be on here. And
sure.
It's the biggest Half-Life mod that turned into its own game that is still played like crazy today. So, yep.
Going on 20 years, so it's got to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. 57, way too low. Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, that needs to be hot.
Wow, yeah.
If that's not at a minimum your top 20 games, I think it should be top 10. But if it's not top 20, a lot of the lists I'm going to be very suspect of. But
oh, you're going to be ripping this apart now, I think, because of that.
Now my thoughts of this list have already kind of... I want to see what else they have. But that game, yeah, we've talked about that game enough.
It's phenomenal. I'm trying to figure logistics, maybe because they're saying, it's a remake of an old game, so it shouldn't be that high. But I think with RE2 Remake, it's such a departure from its original level design and gameplay that I think it's a fair game. Pun unintended, so... Well, because whenever I do my top 10, I usually say I always don't include remakes, because I don't think it's fair to judge a game when there is a previous version of it somewhere, and it should be, celebrated for the year it originally came out. But RE2 is such an exception because you cannot play the original and then the new one and say it's exactly the same, because they have different feeling. It feels different.
Exactly. And just so you know, you and Jim, moving forward, I'm just going to say whether Resident Evil 2 should be higher or lower. So, number 56, Metroid Samus Returns on 3DS. Resident Evil 2 should be higher.
I didn't play it. I know it's a good remake, but I didn't play it.
AKA the game that pretty much destroyed another Metroid 2 remake on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So Resident Evil 2 should be higher.
but it was a good game. I just don't have much to say about it, but it was good.
55, Mad Max. I know people who liked it.
Me?
I know who hated it. I'm so surprised it's this high on the list.
Guess what should be higher than Jim?
Oh, here we go.
Jim, what should be higher than this?
Resident Evil 2 and Mortal Kombat 10?
Any of them. It doesn't fucking matter.
I would put Amnesia over it, and that was number 100. What?
Oh, here we go. Here we
I mean,
go.
No,
Hey,
I mean, when it comes to other games that made by Avalanche Studio, put Just Cause 2 or something like that. Not
No,
that
we
bad.
agree with you. We just looked at the next one.
No, the
That's
next
why we're going
one
here.
is already
Oh,
pissing me
jeez,
off.
I don't-
My head
okay.
hurts.
Okay, let me prepare my Advil just in case the next one is gonna give me an aneurysm. Go ahead.
Well, 54 is Resident Evil 7, which I really liked Resident Evil 7, but guess what? Resident Evil 2 should be fucking higher than it because I like that Resident Evil 7 brought back horror, but what the fuck? Like, I'm actually fine with where 7 is if goddamn Resident Evil 2 was
I still
not
think
where
7 should be higher.
you're crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, not higher than 2
oh,
necessarily,
you
but
mean-
higher on the list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think both of them should be. Fuck.
And this comes from someone who is not big into horror, and I loved Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I think they should be higher. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not even a horror guy. Like I'm.
You're
like,
more objective than
the
the both of us
antithesis
on
What
this.
Jim is, and yet I say that it should be higher.
Yeah. And here's the deal: if RE2 and RE7 are this high on this list, and they got Until Dawn as well, that means there's basically no horror even close to the top 30.
We'll see. Maybe they put something like Outlast or something. I'll be like, ugh. Jump
I-
Scare-a-Palooza.
Maybe Alien Isolation.
They better
Yeah,
fucking.
maybe,
that
but I
better
still
be
prefer
high.
those over Alien Isolation. I mean, heck, RE7 was one of the few games that I tried VR that I actually thought it was a really good fit on it, and it genuinely made me scared a lot of the time. So, good on you, Capcom, for actually doing that.
They're having a hell of a comeback, that's for sure.
Yeah,
53.
like, since
Sorry.
2017 was like Capcom's renaissance. Like ever since then, they just keep releasing hit after hit. Like, good on them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, they've been on fire. 53, Hotline Miami. It's one I want to play. I know people love it. I just never got around to it.
I'm fine with it on here. It's way too high for this list, considering what other titles were on here. But I'm fine with it on the list.
A to the G to the R-E-E. I agree.
52.
I'm trying to be
Hearthstone.
unique instead of just saying, like, yes, I agree.
Instead of being like, I agree with your assessment.
Yeah, I want to be unique, so there you go.
Now
tell
you're
you
bringing
right-
the personality in.
I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
52. Hearthstone. Fuck you. You shouldn't be higher than either Resident Evil.
I think it's a good spot. I think
Fucking
because
card-
Resident Evil's
Fuck that
low-
game. Hey, no. Hey, I don't.
No, it was a phenomenon, Brian. It was a goddamn phenomenon.
Doesn't matter. Oh, I can play cards online. Go fuck yourself. You should not be higher than Resident Evils.
Hey, you're saving trees that way, okay?
Yeah. Fuck trees too. Fuck them all.
With your digital card packs that you can't take with you.
Fuck trees by Brian, year 2020.
Fuck trees, Brian, 2020. It's,
That's
a new,
right.
it's a new decade.
Now the universe has hope.
Yeah.
But I agree. You should give it credit for being the phenomenon that it was, and for all intents and purposes, it is a good game. I just would probably put in my lower 10s, if anything, so...
Exactly.
Moving on.
51, Control. I didn't play it.
Never played it.
I know people love it.
I need to play it. I've heard really good things about it, and a lot of people keep saying it's basically like the sequel of Psyops we never got, and I think Psyops was one of the best, like, action games of the 200s. I'm not sure if you guys know about Psyops so much.
I don't know anything about it.
I know very little about the early games, but I'm just saying, once again, a game that came out in 2019 that seems fairly rash to put it at 51.
Well, that was like Death Stranding being
Maybe
on
'cause-
Polygon's list at 50
Oh,
when
I'm
it was
sure
only out
Death
for 2
Stranding's
weeks.
probably
Well,
number
maybe
one
they're
on this
doing it
fucking
because
list.
they don't want to come off like with recency bias. I guess they don't want people to say you only put the 2019 games high because of recency bias. So maybe it's to counteract that. But
Maybe.
of all of the games that came out in 2019, I mean, yeah, Sekiro, Resident Evil 2, Control.
Resident Evil came out this year!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Resident Evil. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
I mean, from my perspective, I hope to maybe see they include like Devil May Cry 5 and Fire Emblem there as well. But here's hoping. We'll see.
Yeah.
Number 50, we have Fortnite. Had to be on the list. I'm actually shocked they have it this high because most lists suck it off way too much. But
If-
I'm fine just because of the pure phenomenon that it was.
Yeah, Polygon was number 10.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
being in number
right.
50, I can
Let's
at
stop
least
that.
accept. Hold
You
on.
know, I'll
one sec.
accept the placement of it if you just add a 0 right after it. So.
Ouch!
Hold on
It's coming
one
out swinging.
All right, so at number 49, we have The Outer Worlds, which Many have just described as a better version of Fallout 76. I think it's a little too high. It makes sense being on the list because of the hype it's got. I think it's too high.
I really want to play it. Spiritual Succession in New Vegas, so it's right up my alley, but I still got to play it.
Same. And it's kind of like, it's basically, this is like the best Fallout game that came out this decade. And the one Fallout game that may be better than it is the game that pretty much preceded Outer Worlds, which is New Vegas, because it's the same people. So, there you go.
48. Fez. This was a big hit. Very popular
Meat
indie
Boy's
platformer.
better. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'll say. Like, whether you do Fez or Super Meat Boy, I think Super Meat Boy is better than Fez. Fez had some interesting takes on doing the 3D spinning of the platforms, but meh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like the placement of Fez being about like being higher than Super Meat Boy, I don't know, it's kind of fishy.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I got that one. You son
That's
of
all
a
I
bitch.
have to say about that.
I got that one.
47, we have Super Mario Maker. Of course, it's got to be on here.
Yeah, of course.
But don't have Super Mario Maker 2 on here because you're double dipping the same game.
Yeah. Even though,
So
don't
we'll
you
see.
think it's kind of funny how Mario Maker was so popular and that was out on the Wii U, and then Mario Maker 2 comes out and it's on the Switch, which is much more popular, and it doesn't have like the same, word to mouth,
Yeah, people just didn't care as
exposure?
much.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
the
so
Wii-
weird actually.
I mean, the thing is, the Wii U sucks so bad that they need any game that did good. So basically, Switch is like, we got enough other good stuff, but yeah, here's this other game.
Yeah, it's just okay.
Right,
it
Jim?
exists.
Right, Jim?
Well,
Mario Maker 1 had the gimmick, and Mario Maker 2 is just, more of
hey,
this.
you can
There you
use
go.
your amiibos in Mario Maker 1. You can do it in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bastard. You could put your cereal box on it.
You can play as Sonic in Mario Maker 1. I can't play Sonic in Mario Maker 2.
Exactly. Way better. Wii U wins.
Every
They
console's
won your
obsolete.
money secondhand.
Worth it. Still worth it.
Good.
46. Telltale's The Walking Dead. Should be on here.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is what brought goddamn whatever.
Point and click, adventure,
Point and
all
click,
that shit.
choice-based adventures. This reinvented it, and yeah, it's amazing.
What? Wait, you saying it's amazing?
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. I think you should say right here on the screen. You should say Daniel's gonna remember that.
I like that. You son of a bitch.
No, in all seriousness, I really liked the original season of The Walking Dead, and I'm really happy for Telltale for the success they got from it. It's just the problem with that success, they kind of released like the same derivative, like, adventure games ever since. None of them captivate the same magic of
Exactly.
The Walking Dead. I played Walking Dead Season 2, it definitely wasn't as good as the original season. I think the one game they made that got close to it, besides The Wolf Among Us, which I never played myself, was the Borderlands game they did, which was really fun.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us was great, and a few others were okay, but no, Walking Dead, that's tops.
Borderlands,
season 1.
I really love personally, so...
Yeah.
All right, 45. A game we talked about a little bit. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
There you go. I
Blade's
haven't
what the
played
F
it,
game.
but Blade, yep.
I want to talk about it, but it's okay. You know, I'll talk about one thing about it, and it's at the beginning of the game. So it's not a huge spoiler, but like the first mission you have to do, you're in a wheelchair the entire time. So can you
that's
imagine
awesome.
trying to like jump like over stuff when you're in a wheelchair? It's like it's
Exactly.
interesting to say the least. And this is the most normal thing that happens in that game. Like it gets bonkers after that, and I mean. Really bonkers, like Taika Waititi wrote this.
And Jim, since you just fucked up the order, I'm going to get the next two.
Go ahead.
Number 44, The Binding of Isaac. Yes, it definitely should be on here.
Yeah.
It's probably a little too high for it, but it is a great game.
I like it a
probably
lot.
switch
I don't have an
Meatball
issue with
with
this
it.
position. If you said it should be lower, though, too, I'd be fine with that.
This one makes no sense. All right, 43, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. So you're not talking about Far Cry 3 itself. You're talking about the goddamn expansion for it, which was fun. But for DLC to make the top 43 of 100 list, what are you doing? Like, if you just said Far Cry 3, I would agree. Blood Dragon, no, you can't have.
I mean, I do hope regular 3 shows up because I think it was easily the best Far Cry game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's my point. Is like, if they just have this, then what are you doing? And if they have the other one, then what are you doing? Because why do you have 2?
I don't get it.
Resident Evil 2 is better. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I will say, to the defense of Blood Dragon, one of my favorite things about it is during the tutorial, where, like, basically the computer says, you press the analog stick to the left to spin to the left. And you hear the main character going, are you serious? How long am I going to have to do this? God, stop. I want to move on, please. Like,
oh, yeah. No,
like
it's
how he
really,
backstopped
really
the
fun.
tutorial. Any game
Yeah.
that makes fun of like modern tutorials in games and how mandatory it is, gets a point in my book automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, 42. Limbo. Should be on here.
This,
Sure.
I'm one of the people who thinks it's better than Inside, which I'm sure Inside's going to be higher because it is.
I agree with you
Inside.
on that one, actually. I like Limbo more than Inside.
Yeah, but yes, it should be on here. I think it should be higher. 41.
Should be higher than Inside.
That's right. 41, we have Gone Home, which, once again, it's another walking around and inspecting shit. It's too high. It's fine.
It's
I get
fine,
why
yeah.
it's on here, but too high.
I agree.
All right, number 40. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
Should be on here, but it's too high.
Too
Yeah, I
high,
never really
you
got
mean should be in
that
a
far
lower
into Metal Gear
placement?
Solid.
Yeah, it should be like probably in the 70s.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
It should be in the 20s.
Should be in the top 10.
You think
Really?
so?
I love MGS5, but I know what people are going to say about it, that the game is incomplete because Konami, of course, you know,
They made him
weren't
rush
too
it and all.
happy. Well, they weren't too happy about Kojima developing, you know, this, you know, engine for as long as he has, and of course Kojima didn't get to, you know, fulfill his vision, but it's so funny that with this game that's quote-unquote incomplete, I spent 120 hours just trying to do absolutely everything that I can in it. And that to me is so weird to say the game is incomplete when I spend more time on it than like 10 times more than games that are actually complete.
Yeah,
So I
that's a
don't
good
like
point.
that argument, and I also got the collector's edition of MGS5 where they actually show where the story could have gone had Kojima had a time, and honestly, it wasn't that good to begin with. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like casting Kiefer Sutherland as Snake. I like David Hayter and his like, nah, Metal Gear, nah.
Yeah, that was such a weird call.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that because David Hayter is so cool as Snake. So I don't know why they went with the guy from 24, but if you take the story aside, the gameplay is one of the best open world experiences ever made into a video game. That it gives you so many different methods of like addressing situations. In a way, it's kind of like a precursor to Breath of the Wild in a sense, because also Breath of the Wild is a similar experience of a game that gives you a lot of freedom of how do you tackle situations. You could either kill enemies, which makes, you know, clearing missions much easier, but you can also put enemies to sleep, and yes, they can wake up and like shoot you down, but you can also attach a little balloon to them and basically float them off to your private base and have them work for you. And actually succeeding in doing that is one of the funnest things I've done in the game. Nothing is like going like behind, you know, a crate full of supplies, making sure no one sees me. I'm attaching, you know, those little clasps on it, and then it just goes like, you know, with a giant balloon, just go whoop, like flies in the air. And God, doing this to cows is the best thing. You attach clasps to a cow, and it goes "Mrrr." Like, I just love this game so much. So I don't like it when people don't give it the credit it deserves. If you haven't played it, yeah, fine, I get it. But you should give it a chance. Just don't pay much attention to the narrative this time. I think it's easily the worst story in a Metal Gear game, but the gameplay more than makes up for it. And I think that should be the most important thing in a video game, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
All right, so we got 39 Diablo 3. Definitely should be on the list. And
Sure.
I'm actually fine with the placement because it makes sense.
It had a shoddy launch, but it got better. Once also it got to consoles, and the Switch version also is very popular. So, yeah. Sure, I'll probably place it lower myself, but I think it should be on the list for sure.
Yeah.
There you go. 38. Batman Arkham City. It's the best Arkham game. Should be on the list.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it should be higher. But I'm fine with it. It has to be on the list for sure.
I like Asylum better personally. I like the more focused level design, but I do think City's still a really good game and obviously should be on the list.
Yeah.
Yep.
37, we have Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, which you got to put at least one of the Uncharted. I know Jim hates them because
Not a fan.
they're just too. Yeah.
The combat sucks. I just can never get into Uncharted. I
Yeah.
love the platforming. I hate the combat.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely should be on there, at least in my opinion. I mean, I think they're pretty solid games, and they're like the staple for PS3 and 4s.
You know, honestly, if I had to choose like my favorite game of the Uncharted that came out in that decade, it would actually be Lost Legacy, like the quote-unquote expansion to 4, because I thought it had like the best narrative. I thought the combat was the tightest, and there was one chapter that was actually completely open-ended where they just put you in this area and they just say, okay, look for treasures and stuff, and you can do whatever order you want and tackle the puzzles any order you want. And that was really cool, and that's something that they've never done in Uncharted games before, and I personally really enjoyed. Because I thought 4 was really bloated. I thought it was way too long for what it was, but Lost Legacy had the perfect length for that kind of an action game. And as for 3, because we're talking about 3, obviously, I thought I put it in the middle. Like, it's a game you play for the spectacle and, like, feeling like Indiana Jones, and I think for that, it was fun. I'm not saying it's the best combat, Jim. Like, I'm not gonna say that. For the record, I'm not saying that. But for spectacle, like, once, like, you know, you go, like, you know, to this ship and you try to avoid, you know, getting drowned by being shot at least it has a lot of memorable set pieces, which very few games can say, so I have to give it credit somewhere.
There you go. All right, 36.
Whew,
Firewatch.
Talking.
Walking simulator. Another walking simulator.
Yeah, Firewatch
Narrative
being
driven.
this high, this is like, I know it's not the same, but it's like her story. It's a unique. It's fine.
It's fine.
Don't have it at 36 over all these other games. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to shit on it too much. I'm just gonna say 36 seems remarkably high for that.
Good story,
lower.
good experience, but shouldn't be this high.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
35, we have Alan Wake, which I actually like this game. I don't think it should be this high.
I think you're trying to get good boy points on this one, because this was a game that flopped. It had a lot of hype, and it flopped.
It flopped, but then like people liked it after. It's like,
oh,
it's
you know it flopped, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what game came out the same exact day of Alan Wake, right?
No, what?
Red Dead Redemption.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, well,
Like that was like asking to die, essentially.
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah, that was Alan Wake doesn't get the respect it deserves, but being 35,
It still seems a little.
That's really respectable, actually, for what it is. Like, as a cult game, the fact that it ended this high, I think that's pretty admirable. It's also higher than Control, so that's also something that we should note as well.
Yeah, true.
Same people. No Quantum Break, what a shock.
listen,
that poor
all
game.
I'm saying is Resident Evil 2 should be higher.
Oh, 35. Wonderful.
Oh, Jim loves us.
Uncharted 4 at Thief's End. Great.
Yeah, if they just had that other Uncharted, like, what are you doing? You can't do that.
I
Wait,
guess
which
you
one?
can, but it's not for me.
Uncharted
It's not to be
4.
said.
Oh, Uncharted 4.
It's, come on, man. Like, you just had the Uncharted. You either got to spread them out further. You can't have them, like, 3 games apart. Or what? Yeah, 3 games apart.
I don't know. Uncharted 4, like, it felt way too, like, grimy and less jovial than the other games, which Uncharted is, like, from its essence, is, like, a very, like, B-movie style adventure serials, like, very over the top, and the fact that it kind of turned into, like, a pseudo Last of Us kind of made me not like it as much, and it's probably the Uncharted game I probably would replay the least. Maybe I'll replay 1 less, but I don't feel like going back to Uncharted 4, especially when I don't like how they retconned the story and apparently Nathan Drake has a brother out of nowhere now, which...
Yeah, it's just like they're trying to keep it going.
I mean, if they want to keep Uncharted going, just go with Chloe from Uncharted 2, and she should be the main character, and I'm going to be down with that, so...
Yeah. Number 33, we have Undertale at number 33, which, yes, it should be on here. I'm fine with the placement. You know, amazing music. Probably some of the most memorable music from the decade.
And one of the most fanatical fan bases out there.
Yeah.
I would say I'll just build up on that. I think it's one of the best soundtracks of the decade. For sure. Like, it definitely deserves that credit, and I think placing it high on that list, yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. So good for you, Undertale. And Toby Fox, of course.
Yeah.
All right, 32. Cuphead. Way better spot than Polygons, which had in like the 80s.
Yeah, my game, I think best platformer of the decade, just from the looks and how hard it was. But, you know, I'm not someone who's outstandingly amazing at games, but I was able to beat it eventually. It was very hard. But, you know what? It was hard but fair. And like I said, you will never see a game as unique looking as this. And the soundtrack, like everything about that game I love. So, if anything, I would maybe put it a tiny bit higher, but it definitely has to be on here.
Yeah, we reviewed it. I adored it. Can't speak highly of it enough.
Yeah, I will go far and say it's my favorite indie game of the decade. I loved it that much.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you know, I can go right back with that.
Because I think what's important to me, like with Cuphead, is that a lot of people give credit to the soundtrack and the animation, which are, of course, phenomenal, but it plays extremely tightly. And a lot of people give credit to the gameplay, but it plays like an old school, like a new generation of like Gunstar Heroes or Alien Soldiers for the Sega Genesis, like an old school boss rush game.
Yeah, Alien Soldiers like a perfect comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people know Alien Soldier, but man, that game is such a treasure.
You son of a bitch.
He just sneaks them in there.
Put another penny in the jar.
At 31, we got Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I don't.
Well, how do you really feel, Blade?
I don't get I don't know. I guess they're gonna have other Assassin's.
People just
Creed.
like the pirate part.
That's
my guess.
Problem.
I don't know.
It's not an Assassin's Creed game. It's a pirate game. Just make a pirate game, which that's what they're doing with like Skulls and Bones. I think that's what they call it. The Ubisoft game. It's supposed to come out this year.
Yeah. I don't get. This one doesn't make as much sense to me.
Well, I just
if there's any Assassin's Creed above it, then I'm gonna definitely be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
But
I bet
just,
Odyssey shows up.
The main character was boring. I didn't like the actual like stealth elements of the game, which that's what you play Assassin's Creed for. And yeah, the pirate stuff is cool, but that's not what I go and play Assassin's Creed. I want to play Assassin's Creed for the stealth, and that's why I didn't enjoy. So when you were saying Assassin's Creed, I was like, oh, I hope it's Origins. Black Flag. And I'm like,
yeah. I think Origins or Odyssey has to be on here, and if they're not,
Origins is my favorite Assassin's Creed as of today, because I think not only that it introduced like the RPG stuff, but it has the best main character since Ezio by far. Like I think like his story is really interesting, and like the Egyptian vistas, like the different places you explore, look absolutely phenomenal. So
yeah.
All right, number 30, Dead Space 2.
I guess they proved me wrong by throwing a horror game this high.
Resident Evil should be.
Resident Evil 2 should beat this. I think if this swap places with Resident Evil 2, then I'd be okay. This list makes more sense. I'll just leave it. I don't know.
Who even talks about Dead Space 2 nowadays? Does anyone talk about it?
No one. 1 had the impact. 3 was a disaster. No one cared about 2.
Yeah.
More than Cuphead?
Exactly.
Super Meat Boy, Resident Evil 2? What?
I don't get it.
Dead Space is the first one. That came out in 2008. And I'm sorry, but the second and third games don't stack up to it, unfortunately.
Exactly. No, it doesn't. Yeah. This list, like I said, they get some good ones, and then they throw shit at you, which is what I'm expecting.
That's one of the few things that I really disagree with. So, yeah. I mean, if it has to be on the list, not number 30 or whatever it is. So,
yeah. Put Super Meat Boy at 28. Put Dead Space 2 at 86 or whatever it was.
Oh my god.
So at 29, we have Call of Duty Black Ops, which
it's my favorite Call of Duty.
It's Jim's favorite. It was a great campaign. It had a lot of obviously offered with the zombies and everything. One of the best multiplayers. I'm fine. It's just another question of, do they have any other Call of Duties on here?
If they have to choose only one, at least they chose one that's like objectively
One
really
of the
good,
best
I
ones.
suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they didn't go with Advanced Warfare, which I know people will not like so much now.
No, yeah. If they went with
because
Ghost
of
or
He Who
Advanced
Shall Not Be
Warfare,
Named.
then that's different. But this,
28, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. People love it.
too high. Too high. I'm sorry, too high. Like, I'm fine with video games being wherever, but for a 3DS game to beat what it's beat already, too high. Get the fuck. Because you know Breath of the Wild's in the top 5. You don't
Yeah,
need...
but on the other hand, I think it's cool to have a handheld game that high, because at least there was a representation from a handheld game that was, equivalent to, a console experience that can be as good. So if it has to be any of them, might as well be Link Between Worlds, if anything.
If that's the only one, that's the only way I'll accept it.
Yeah, I mean, why would you choose instead, like a Mario 3D Land? I mean,
Yeah, right.
27.
3D Land is good. I'm just saying it's not like, the best of the 3DS catalog.
Yeah.
That's all.
27, we got Fallout 4, which you have to have Bethesda. I know you don't like it, but me, I love this game, and I love the fact that, especially now after beating it the original way twice, and that now they have the mods available for consoles, I'm never stop playing the game.
Maybe I should give it a shot one day, but honestly, I would rather play Outer Worlds before I would play Fallout 4.
Yeah, for me, Fallout 4, I like it better. Like, Jim and I go back and forth on that, between that and New Vegas. I like 4 better, just because it's tends to be a little less grindy and a little less, micromanagement.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, I am shocked by number 26. Not because of the franchise, but the one they picked. Mass Effect 3. And guess what? I actually like Mass Effect 3 a lot, and I liked its story until the last 5 minutes way better than 2 because the enemy was so much better. But I'm just shocked that they actually had the balls to put on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you have a choice between the blue Mass Effect 3, the red Mass Effect 3,
Or the green one.
Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I mean, I won't let 5 minutes ruin the 40 hours of amazing that I had, but yeah, that's the biggest letdown of an ending that's ever been.
Mass Effect 3 gets a lot of shit, and honestly, I enjoyed it. And it gives some characters, really phenomenal send-offs that I would not dare to spoil at all, but you know what I'm talking about, so
Oh, yeah.
that's all we need to really discuss.
Yeah.
The combat is tight. I think my only real nitpick with it is the fact that your party is basically the same party from Mass Effect 1 again, so they're pretty... It's probably the worst party in any of the Mass Effects. They don't feel as cohesive as the one in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, probably.
Which probably, I would imagine Mass Effect 2 is probably going to show up.
All right. So, yeah, Mass Effect 3 should be... I mean, as you guys have went back and forth, should be on there, but...
Shockingly high on the list.
Shockingly high. But number 25 for me is not high. Horizon Zero Dawn. Arguably one of the best PS4 games, at least in my opinion. So it's from an RPG standpoint, from an open world adventure. It's one of those, you should stop wasting money on Wii U's and other stupid systems and get yourself PS4. Get yourself this game.
At this point, I'll just get a PS5 and I'll buy it on that.
Yeah, you probably won't.
Yes,
You'll
I fucking
waste your money
will.
on something else.
I gotta get a 3DO.
All right.
About Horizon, I will just say this very quickly. It's amazing that a studio that made Killzone, a series that I never cared about, was able to departure from a genre they're so familiar with to something that they've never done before, and yet still captivate me so much. I think the world, the lore they create behind Horizon is absolutely mesmerizing, and all I just keep saying to myself, sequel when?
Exactly.
All right, 24. Kind of shocked it's this low. I mean, from the tops. Minecraft.
This just made the entire rest of the list way more interesting to me, because this was
good.
This was usually number 1 or 2 on everybody else's list. You can't deny the impact and just the pure imagination of the game. So I kind of feel like it had to be higher, and now that it's not, I'm just interested in what the fuck they're going to put ahead of it.
I'll deny it.
All
I don't
right.
have much to say about it.
23, we have Marvel Spider-Man, which that's one game for the PS4 I have not gotten yet, and everyone tells me is pretty amazing. It's kind of like the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City for Spider-Man universe.
Yeah.
And I either hear clapping or fapping back there, so Blade enjoys it.
I'll let your imagination answer that question.
It's the only two things that I would ever go to.
I will say this. The game definitely makes you feel like you're Spider-Man.
That's all I want.
And that's the only review you ever need of that game, is that you feel you like Spider-Man. But no, it just takes all the good parts of the Arkham games and gives you, the freedom of actually controlling Spider-Man very well compared. Actually, it's funny because I played the 2004 Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game for the Xbox right before I played Marvel Spider-Man on the PS4, just to see how it evolved over the years. And there's no contest. It's so natural to swing from building to building, and it just looks phenomenal. Insomniac basically took what they did with Sunset Overdrive and made it better. And
Oh, okay, I'm sold. I gotta buy it when I get a PS5.
yeah, it's one
He
of the
won't
best
get a
games on
PS5,
PS4.
don't worry.
I'm gonna get a goddamn PS5.
I'm
You're
just
not
also
allowed.
gonna say, for record, that was my number one game of the last year, and yeah, it's still the same opinion remains. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, number 22, Overwatch. It should be on here. Probably a fine spot. Not much.
Yeah, not over some of these games, but it should definitely be on here. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm at least being quiet. I should say it should be higher, but yeah, I'm not arguing with the spot. I'm just glad it's as high as it is, so I'm accepting it. So don't push your luck.
But are you gonna be mad that it just lost out to Stardew Valley?
Yeah, number 21 is Stardew Valley.
No, because I get why people like Stardew Valley. It's not my thing. I mean, I've never been to the whole, Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing games. It's never been my thing, but it was a big deal 3 years ago. I get it. I think it's higher, though, than it should be, in general.
Yeah.
But I get the fad. Actually, it's not really a fad, because it still keeps going, but I get why people like them.
It's a fad.
Yeah, sure.
All right, number 20, Bloodborne. Sure.
Bloodborne, you son of a bitch.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
I gave the Australian accent.
It's my favorite of the Dark Souls. I know I haven't played, as I said at the beginning, I haven't played Sekiro
Second
yet, but I love Bloodborne.
Potato, how you say that.
Yeah, I played the Dark Souls, and those never grabbed me the way Bloodborne did. Plus, I'm into horror, so naturally, I love this game.
Yeah, I prefer the Lovecraftian Victorian era horror that they're doing in Bloodborne more than the traditional fantasy stuff with the Soul series. And I like that the combat focuses more on movement and doing the correct counter instead of just attack block of Dark Souls.
Exactly.
So, I agree. Bloodborne is my favorite Souls game as well.
Yeah,
So.
and I'm fine with the placement. Number 19, this fucking game. We just haven't played, but we see on every list, which is Journey. And everyone's saying it's the most amazing game ever. And I just have to play it just to know it doesn't live up to this hype.
I've played Flower by them. I haven't played Journey yet. I like Flower.
Of course you like Flower, Jim. You like bad things. So, which makes me think
I don't think Blade's happy about Journey being this high.
I think Journey will die at right now because you just said it's like Flower, so.
Well, it's not like Flower. It's by the same people.
Exactly.
Stop making noise.
That means
Be
it's all
professional.
bad. Really, Jim?
I hear the grunts by Blade. I guess he's not happy.
I'm gonna go on a rant right now. I honestly think Journey is the most overrated game the past decade.
Ooh.
I agree without ever playing it.
Get the whole love for Journey. While it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, because it looks great, it sounds great, and I do like the idea, that you basically get to cooperate with people you never met before, and even without having voice chat available, you're still somehow able to communicate. I'll give it that. But as a gaming experience, there is nothing really that profound or entertaining about it. A lot of people say, oh, the story is an equivalent of, like, you know, going to the afterlife and stuff like that. I don't know. To me, just some dude in a robe going, you know, straight the entire time. And there's snow and you slide on sand sometimes. It's just, there's nothing really I'm taking from this experience. The only reason why I played it is because everyone went crazy and said it's the best game, you know, from a small indie studio. And I would say Flower was a better experience overall, because I think it was more poignant and it had better gameplay mechanics to it. Journey just feels so pretentious up its butt. And I can't stand of, like, how much people think it's the best gaming experience. Like, it's like if someone gave me a piece of, like, you know, sandwich and say to me, okay, this sandwich here is made by the best prosciutto in the land and the best cheese that was, you know, made by the finest craftsman, and all I have to think about is I just want to eat it because I'm freaking hungry and I don't care what it's made of. I just want to play a game for fun. And I'm not saying a game cannot be artsy, you know, and do something like that with its art, but it's just that I think there are games out there that have an artistic vision that can still be very fun, like Cuphead, for example.
Yeah.
Like, Cuphead is a game that has beautiful art, but has really fun gameplay that's attached to it. Or you know what? Let's talk about the same year, The Walking Dead. Like, yeah, that game doesn't have a lot of gameplay, but at least it has characters and scenarios I can remember. Journey...
You just described Jim's favorite game right now. So Jim is probably going to love Journey by everything you just described, because that's what he falls for, like games like Flower. So it makes sense. So when Jim
I like the cute game about a flower. You're just mad it's about a goddamn flower.
The Journey, that's what I'm saying, though.
See, there you go. I probably won't even like Journey as much then.
God damn it.
Maybe because I think that people were hyping Journey so much as, like, this profound experience that I just never connected to, and I just felt, like, behind because I don't get what people, you know, go crazy for it. Journey is basically this, like, little deer that you want to get closer to because you want to, like, you know, pet it or something. But that deer will run away if you say anything bad about it. Well, you know what? I would pay dearly for it, but I will still say bad things regardless. I mean, when it comes to what I'm talking about Journey, it kind of makes it sound like I'm giving, like, a 5 out of 10 or, like, a 4 or something. It's still a 7 or an 8 for me. I just don't get, like, why people say it's, like, the best, you know, indie game ever. Okay, I'm over because I'm using my breath over this.
All right. I say for these last ones, we kind of bang through them quick.
Yep.
So, 18.
Because we're probably going to agree with most of them anyways.
True, exactly. So, 18, Doom. I'm fine.
It's fine, but it should be lower.
I'd say it should be lower too, but put it at 18, fine.
It should be on the list.
One of the best shooting games of the past decade absolutely needs to be on the list.
Yeah.
Yep,
Number
exactly.
17, we got Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'm shocked because most people I talked to didn't even like it that much.
As long as Red Dead 1 isn't on there, fine.
We'll see.
I mean, I didn't put Red Dead 2 in my top 10 for a reason.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you know what? I gave it a chance. I played it for 8 hours, and I just did not connect with it. Like, it looks great. The acting is phenomenal, but the gameplay was just clunky.
But horseballs. Horseball physics. All right, 18. Bioshock. 16. Sorry.
Learn how to read,
I was looking at mine. I did not scroll up. I'm sorry. 16. Bioshock Infinite.
No.
Yes.
No, it should not be this high.
Ooh, here we go.
I love Bioshock Infinite.
And I'm fine with the game. I'm just saying, over what it's now beat, I have an issue with that. But I'm oh god, this fucking list just. Oh, sorry, Daniel. I just saw the next one, which I have to read. Number 15.
Number 15. Rocket League.
Rocket League, the game Jim still sucks at, which he's played for years now, and it's overrated as shit. It's a fun pick up and play, but best game of the decade, 15 out of 100. Go fuck yourself.
Infinitely replayable.
It
Pick up and play
should
greatness.
not be on
it should
there.
be. It should be top 5.
It's just terrible. So this list
I
is
think it
lost
should
all.
be on the list, just not very
It should
high. But...
It should be on the list. It should not be at 15. I'm sorry.
Nah, good
Resident
spot.
Evil 2
Good
should
spot.
be higher.
Perfect list. might be why I said it's a good list.
Best
This is
placement,
all-
10 out of 10.
Now I know why Jim said it's a good list. I can't wait till number 1 be fucking Flowers. So go
God.
ahead. Go. What's 14, Jim?
14. Smash Ultimate. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, best Smash ever. So Oh, fuck this list.
Actually, there's
wait,
Super
wait,
Smash
wait.
Brothers Melee.
Don't you dare. Number 13, this list really just took a shit. 13 is Dark Souls.
The first one.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I'm fine with Dark Souls being on the list, but it is not the best of the Soul series. The impact was big, but it's not even... No.
Technically, Demon Souls was the first one, bro.
I know it, Jim. Oh, God, this list gets
Oh,
worse.
even better list!
Oh, my
even
God,
better!
this list can suck all the dicks.
Here you go. Number 12, Fallout New Vegas. Perfect list.
Nope.
Perfect
Okay,
list.
there we go. Yeah.
It's the
Some
third
redemption.
best Fallout, so they managed to fuck that up.
It's a funny way to say first best.
I can have my ammo way, so I can just keep having to go back and forth and fast travel, and I can drop things.
Yes, Scrub.
Hey,
Survive.
you get to shoot Chandler from Friends, okay?
Yep,
I guess
there you
that's
go.
fun. Oh, God, this list really takes shits left
Oh,
and right.
oh my
So
God.
they already had Mass Effect 3, but number 11 is Mass Effect 2. Why did you...
Wow.
this list... Jim, this is all your fault. You picked the worst list possible.
I thought Mass Effect 2 would be in the top 10, actually.
People
Once
absolutely
again,
adore it. Huge
why
impact.
do
Great
you
story. Great
have
gameplay.
Mass Effect 3 on there as high as you did if
'Cause
you
it's a
had
great game.
Mass Effect 2.
It's a great game. Top 100 of the decade.
Well, I mean,
See?
2 is better than 3, for the record.
Obvious. Well, it's
Gameplay-wise,
that's pretty
yeah.
obvious.
The enemies still suck compared to the Reapers.
This list. I mean, this list lost credibility with PT being in it, and then it just
True,
went downhill.
yeah. That's the point when it's like, don't take it too seriously when
No,
PT is a part
I mean
of
this
it.
whole list.
Hey, at least
Rocket League at 15.
Polygon had PT at like 4.
That might have been a better list than this one.
How dare you?
number
You're just
10.
doing that to spite me.
Oh,
Wait,
no,
wait,
go
wait.
ahead.
Before you go on, we have to just like emphasize this is a top 10 right now. So this
Top 10 of
year.
the top 100 of the year of the
Decade.
You
decade.
have to
I'm
preface
sorry.
this. This is a big deal. So now you can start. There you go.
Yep, and I think. All right, you go ahead.
10, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Fine.
It should be probably higher, but it has to be in the top 10. I'll say that.
I'm sure Henry Cavill somewhere is happy. So
Number 9.
he's a big
sorry.
fanboy of the games, by the way. So that's the reason.
Oh yeah,
why.
he loves it. Yeah.
I approve of like him being a part of the project because he is such a fanboy. So it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, okay,
Yeah, perfect casting then.
yeah. there
Number
we go.
9.
Number 9.
is Mario Kart 8.
The best Mario Kart.
It is
With
best
Slash
Mario
Deluxe.
Kart. It definitely should be on this list.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Shocking top 10 actually. Like I'm actually surprised it's that high, but
It shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine there.
I think
it
it's fine.
sucks for that.
It's probably the best Mario Kart they've ever made. Honestly.
2 out of 3,
it
Brian.
definitely
2 out of 3.
is. It definitely is. Oh, fuck this list. Keep shitting up, but go ahead.
Oh, fuck you.
It
You were
keeps
bitching
fucking
the
up.
whole time on those other lists that
going,
they put it
keep
so
going.
high.
Go
Number
ahead.
8, Skyrim.
Should be higher.
Oh, Jesus.
Fuss
You really
for
going to
damn.
nitpick?
Here's the deal, because Breath of the Wild is higher, because,
Probably.
which is worse than this game. I can only imagine if Minecraft and we'll just see. No, you don't need to say anything about Skyrim. It's
Dan,
one
do you have a problem with the spot?
With
It's one of
Skyrim,
these-
I'm not. I'm not a huge. I barely played Skyrim. I only played for 2 hours, so I don't have much opinion about it. But considering the memes and everything around it, sure, there's an Alexa version for crying out loud. I mean, what can I say?
It was a selling point for the Switch. It was on their main.
It's a
commercial.
selling point for Alexa.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a selling point for everything. It's been ported everywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be on fridge soon. On a fridge.
It's the new Doom. It's ported everywhere.
Resident Evil 4.
Number
Yeah, that too.
7, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. I mean,
Sure.
it's still to this day crazy. This is the only game I've seen that to be this old that still holds a $60 sticker to buy. It's amazing.
No, I think you can buy it cheaper on the PS4 now, can't you?
I don't know. I know
Yeah.
at least in store and on Xbox it was still.
And the
60.
fact it's like 60 years. The fact it's like 6 years old and it's still getting support to this very day with all of like the online expansions that they have, like really good on Rockstar for supporting.
That's what
it,
I'm saying.
like, this
Yeah.
far, yeah.
Yeah. All right, you know what? Number 6, and Brian, you'll be surprised. Super Mario Odyssey should definitely be on the list. I even think this is slightly too high.
way too high.
Just because, no,
too
it's an
high.
excellent game, but
Way too
as I'm
high.
playing it, I've played Mario 64 before. It's just a newer, updated Mario 64,
it
which
should be
you can't complain
25.
about.
Yeah.
What?
25 at best. at best.
I'd say like 15. Put it where Rocket League is.
Yeah, 15. I think 25
Fine,
to 15.
put
is
Rocket
actually fine
League
with
at
me.
100, and
You
then
motherfucker.
number 5.
Wait, before we go to number 5, I just want to like hit on Mario Odyssey very quickly. Like, it's really good, like, with the exploration, but I think it kind of misses some of the platforming challenges that Galaxy 1 and 2 had. And that's, like, the thing I like the most about the 3D Mario games is the platforming. And there wasn't a lot of that in Odyssey in comparison.
Yeah, unless you go for those crazy, like, balloon challenges or the really crazy stars, then, or the moons, then, yeah.
Yeah,
it's an easier experience.
It's overrated. For this list, it is, I'm saying.
Okay, fair
Number 5, Red Dead Redemption. Why did you have 2? If you're going to have this, I'm fine with the placement of this. It's the
Because
best of the
Rockstar.
GTA.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with where it's at.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it, but I can accept the placement, so sure.
Ooh, this is... I don't know about this one. Number 4, 2018's God of War.
For number 4, this is the one God of War I haven't played. I've seen enough about it. I think that probably seems too high, but
It's really
I
good.
could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would place it lower myself, personally.
Number 3, I'd say perhaps the most overrated game of the decade series. I'll say Portal 2. Portal 1 had the unique ideas. Portal 2 made it cute and tried to give characters to the robots. For number 3 of the decade, you're way too fucking high. That's all I'll say. It should be on here. There's not even a question.
I think it should be at least, like, top 20, though.
I would say
No,
top
yeah,
20.
I'm
I'd say
fine
top
with that.
20.
I'd put that at
I'll
number
say this is
20.
high,
At
and I love
number
Portal.
20, but
I like Portal 2, but not just because the single player was really good, but the multiplayer, like the co-op, like the fact
co-op
you
was
have to use
great.
like 2 characters, that's phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I
it made a
wish that-
full game out of it. By
Just not
far.
number 3.
The co-op was amazing.
Number
I
2.
still think
Oops,
it's like
sorry.
one of the best co-op experiences in any game ever made.
Yeah, just right behind Left 4 Dead 2.
All right, number 2, The Last of Us. I never got around to playing.
It is the reason PS3. It's the biggest PS3 and was reported to PS4. Story, horror games, whatever. Love it or hate it, it definitely should be on here.
Yep,
At least top 5.
Gee, that makes me wonder what number 1 is.
Oh, gee. Legend
wonder
of Zelda
what it
Breath
would
of the
be.
Wild.
Oh my god, look at my shocked face.
Yeah. Gee, a game where, let me just play. Oh, my weapon broke again. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I can cook more shit. Oh, I made more dubious food. That's fun.
Well, let's be honest, it deserves it. We know it deserves it, but, it's obvious.
I'd only say it deserves it if it wasn't the fact that it's just Nintendo's version of Skyrim. That's all. It's all. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fine. I just.
The biggest twist of, like, Breath of the Wild for me is that it actually wasn't my favorite game of 2017.
What was your favorite of 2017?
Sonic Mania.
Well,
if you're going to do this list of the decade, honestly, I don't even think it's the funnest game, but how can you not put Minecraft at number 1? That created the entire generation, as we spoke about at the beginning, of YouTubers, of people still playing it, of a game that is pure imagination and playing it any way you want. And you're going to put a game where you can cut grass. Like, this game, I don't, and I hate being the one that comes down so hard on Breath of the Wild.
I'm
but
fine
at the
with
same
I'm
time,
fine with it being top 10.
top 10, absolutely, but just not number 1. And
I think Mario Odyssey is more fun than it, so I would be fine with Mario Odyssey was in the.
well, you lost
Switched.
your opinion on a lot of this.
You're just
It's just basically me and Daniel at this point. So you just sit over there, and just go suck your thumb in the corner.
Maybe I will.
I
And
love not being the third wheel for once. This is cool.
yeah, yeah. This list,
To this bickering couple.
This list, like I said, it just had a way of doing solid choices and then complete shit. And
No,
it
but
just,
I respect them not being like every other publication who say Minecraft is number 1 because it's the most influential game of the decade, blah, 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 blah. Like, yes, it's influential, but I don't think it has as much of a mass appeal as everyone thinks it is because it's won over, say, the creative types and younger gamers, but some people like myself, like, it didn't gravitate towards because I don't like the slow pacing of it. I don't like the fact it doesn't really have much of a goal to it. So just because it's revolutionary for what it was doing, I don't think it should be like the number one, but I still respect it for what it is. And I think in terms of like mass appeal and like a game that everyone talks about, I think that it definitely Breath of the Wild more than Minecraft for sure.
Well, I would just say Minecraft. I mean, if you're talking mass appeal, that is all that Minecraft is because it was on everything. And
okay, not mass appeal in the sense like what
the most accessible game ever.
Famous, but in terms of like actual like accolades, I should probably say, like in terms of like word to mouth, like what actually like basically people were talking about. Because even when I talk to people about Minecraft, there's still a lot of negativity that surrounds Minecraft. I don't really hear a lot of people do it to Breath of the Wild unless they're hipsters and they want to say something bad about Breath of the Wild just because it's Breath of the Wild.
I just think Breath of the Wild was the selling point, the initial one, along with Skyrim, for the Switch. And, there were some idiots, Jim, who had Wii U and was like, let me get it for the Wii U, Jim. And, you wasted your money and got the shittier version of a game that was meant for a different system. But it's a great game. I don't know, and I haven't played enough of the Zelda games to know is it the best Zelda game. And I know that's obviously very subjective, but once again,
if you were to ask me though, what was the game that I would like if I had to choose between like like the list that I just made, like what I would have probably put on number one, it would be The Last of Us because that game combined gameplay, but most importantly the story of it. Like touched me to the core like no other game did. Like it did like narratively like things that a lot of TV shows do. Like they don't give you all the answers all the time. Yep. Characters are not like black or white. There's a lot of gray areas. Like you do things as Joel, like the main character, that you have to do in order to make the story progress, but you feel terrible about it. And the game doesn't make you feel good about it, but it's what it's supposed to make you feel. I felt bad playing it, but it was one of the best gaming experiences I've had, personally, ever.
And it's not even one of my favorite games, but I agree with you 100%. I would, if you're not going to go for the mass appeal and internet sensation, well, just world sensation that Minecraft was, Last of Us makes more sense from a truly gaming perspective.
Actually, I want to pose a question to you guys, if I may. May I?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't here because there was like some connection issue. But anyways, there are obviously 100 games they mentioned, but are there any games that should be on the list but they didn't mention at all? Because I have a few names that I can think of, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Other than swapping maybe Titanfall 2 for Titanfall, I forget
when Titanfall 2, was there? Did they mention Titanfall 2?
No, it was just Titanfall 1.
Well, that's BS already, so that's that.
Yeah.
I forget, when did Left 4 Dead 2 come out? I thought
2009.
Was it 09?
It was 09.
I mean that was still technically in the decade. I still maintain that for us, our friends, and playing online, that was one of the most fun I've had in a co-op and people playing things objectively. I would put a lot of the Total War games in there, especially some of the newer ones.
Okay,
I mean, that's a very PC specific thing. Especially
PC's
the breakup
system as well. There's nothing wrong with just a PC game.
Yeah. But if you want to break up the list, I think you have to add those. You have to add either one of the Forza games or Gran Turismo games. There wasn't a single racing game.
Glaring omission that I'm actually kind of not upset about, but or maybe miffed, you want to say. But where's Bayonetta 1 and 2?
Especially 2.
Yeah,
either one of them, honestly. Like, where are they?
Well, they had to make room for PT.
I'm even shocked that Link's Awakening remake didn't make it on there. Bloodstained or Dead Cells, like any of those big name Metroidvania games.
And other games I can think about, like Neo, for example. Like, if
people
we're talking
Neo.
about the Souls games, like Neo was really good representation of that. Yes, I know it's Team Ninja, but still, it was really good as well. Yakuza 0 is another good one. I'm surprised there was no mention of that.
No Yakuza games, actually.
Yeah, no Yakuza games, too. I'm trying to think what else was...
Substituting in any of the Far Cries for Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Yeah, Far Cry 3.
What the fuck?
We didn't get Far Cry 3 like vanilla Far Cry 3 in this.
Yeah, do that. I would take 4 or 5 over Blood Dragon alone. It's just that seems friggin' nuts to me. They just did a DLC.
And
Or
of course,
how about any of the Borderlands?
Borderlands 2 is actually fantastic. At the very least, if you have to choose one of them, put Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Handsome Jack is one of the best villains of the last decade.
yeah. I just they
Shit,
wanted
all
to,
the lists that put Pokemon Go on their list. This actually stayed away from all the mobile games.
Actually, yeah, I mean, in fact, Pokemon Go, you have to give it credit. At least it was a big deal this decade.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Got people outside fucking dicking
Right.
around and meeting other people. I've never seen a game introduce you to more people in real life
Right.
than that. So, yeah,
jeez.
this list was. I'll give it the credit. It was more thoughtful than the one list was all about I don't know what else to call
Polygon
it.
had a lot of the artsy, good,
RTPC,
woke point kind of games.
Yeah, woke games.
A lot of puzzle games on mobile.
What,
But,
wait, did they mention Inside at all?
This one didn't.
No.
The other ones had
the
it.
other
Inside.
ones had
They-
it high.
the other
Inside
ones
is
always
also
lumped it in
overrated,
with
so
Limbo.
yay.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm fine. I'd rather have Limbo on a list than Inside.
I agree. I enjoyed Limbo much more than Inside.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nothing was. It wasn't shock. This was the only list that the most shocking shit was having Minecraft at 25 or whatever it was. That I was like, wow, I didn't expect it.
No, for me, Mass Effect 3 at 26 was the most shocking. Or
think
Dead Space 2 at 30.
I was about to mention Dead Space 2. That was a WTF placement, and PT being there at all was also something that surprised me.
That
I
always
don't
makes it
know
on
why.
these, though.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you have to include PT, don't put it at 74, put it at 100 as like an honorary choice or whatever.
Or just
Don't
say
put it at-
honorable mention. Yeah, don't even
Yeah.
have it on there.
I think that was silly to even put it like that high up.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know what else. I think that's pretty much like all the games I can muster up. Maybe Rise of the Tomb Raider. I thought at least from the Tomb Raider
Yeah.
trilogy, that was the best
Yeah.
one. That should
No,
have at least got a nod.
Yeah, the Tomb Raider games. I mean, that brought back Tomb Raider as a legit franchise, and
And Alien
Hell,
Isolation. I'm surprised that didn't make it either.
yeah, Alien Isolation not being on there. That's
Installation,
a sin.
yeah, that's another one too. Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes, that's another one.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Inquisition won so many Game of the Year awards in 2014, and then everyone forgot about it because Witcher 3 exists.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Also, speaking of 2014, Sunset Overdrive.
I love that game. That was on my personal top favorite of the decade. But
Mine too.
that bombed, but it was so much fun.
Hold on.
It's
one
okay.
second. As we saw, this was another interesting list. It had some really good choices and some blah. But either way, Jim and I, we just want to say, Daniel, BladeBlur, thank you so much for coming on. We really loved having you.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Yeah, we want to get you back and obviously probably see you again in Too Many Games and
Most
keep
likely.
on going with this.
Actually, before we end this, there is one thing I would like to add. Like, there
Yeah.
should have been a different number one on that list.
Go
on.
on.
You guys.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
I agree.
Well,
We're better than everyone else.
I mean, but Jim drags me down, so I mean, I would have taken.
I drugged myself.
Hey, you know what? I got my Rocket League at 15. I'm a happy boy.
This list was a sham as soon as that was 15.
Rocket League blasting off again.
Jim, Brian, that did like 70 spots better than your precious Mortal Kombat 10.
I'm surprised you didn't want Tetris 99 on here.
You know what? It kind of should have been on there.
Yeah,
At least you
exactly.
can say Rocket League did better than Resident Evil 2.
It
Yeah,
did, which
see?
is it's all I need to see to be like, oh,
Perfect list.
This list makes no sense. But no, thank you again, Daniel. I mean, we really appreciate it. Once again, for anyone, please follow him on the links below. Check out all of his content. And with that, guys, I think we just have to say cheers.
Cheers.
Adios.